This is Les McCurdy, McCurdy's Comedy Theater, Sarasota, Florida. We're sitting in the green room behind the stage where the comics hang out before they go up on stage. As a matter of fact, you can walk from the green room just right onto the stage. It sits in the middle of the stage, and on the other side is the box office. And what you're going to hear is the conversation that the comics naturally have during the performance. That's what this is all about. It's not an interview. It's not a performance. It's just our conversation. Same as you sitting around with your friends, and it could go anywhere. It could be chaotic. It could go all over the place. It could be very specific. And remember, we're not experts on anything either. We're just having a nice conversation. That's what we do in the green room. That's what you want to be a part of, and we hope you enjoy the conversation. Welcome to the conversation.
All right.
But I was just talking to Lindsay. By the way, Les McCurdy here, podcast in the green room, The Conversation. McCurdy's Comedy Theater, The Conversation. And we'll just be you'll just be catching our conversation as much as we can make it natural with some microphones in here.
Right
Mike's
on.
our producer right over there.
Hey, yo.
Say
How's
stuff
it going?
so they know you.
I'm Mike, the producer.
That's him.
Bam.
And then Gid Poole is with us too. Gid can talk.
Yes, I'm here because that's where I'm supposed to be, and I do what I'm told.
That's right.
Go ahead and pull that microphone right up into your face.
I am actually one of the graduates of your little humor
You are.
institute.
You can pull that right up there.
Humor Institute.
You are. Well, you know, we're just talking about because we both play golf and
Yeah.
love golf. But here they have the first women's amateur, right, at Augusta National, and Wednesday and Thursday. I don't know about you, but I was flipping through and I go, Golf Channel? No, I can't find it, and I have yet to find a broadcast of it.
Yeah.
And I just texted Lindsay Bergeon,
Yeah.
who was on the Symetra tour, and was a All-American and all that stuff, and I figured she'd be, this being the big inaugural historical first time any I don't know, Mike, no tournament has ever been played at Augusta National except the Masters.
That's correct.
Until this.
Yeah.
And
That's interesting.
So, and I'm sure a lot of the Me Too movement had something to do with this choice.
You got Condoleezza Rice, who's a member there now.
And there's another woman too.
Yeah, and they did the new regime that came in several years ago opened this stuff up. They did the drive chip and putt contest for
That's
the
right.
kids.
That's right.
That's in its fifth year.
That's right.
You know.
So that's right. And but what was kind of disappointing to me is that you can't find any coverage.
Well, but see, here's what they're doing. I don't know if you noticed this, but the last round Saturday is at Augusta National. The first two rounds were at another country club in the area. So they're not going to take all that equipment into mom and pop country club.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, the final round is
So
Saturday.
is that where the one that I'm seeing is at Mission Hills or
Somewhere
something?
like that. Yeah, it's at. Now the Mission Hills. That's the A&A Championship out in Palm Springs.
Oh, that's a whole nother.
That's
different thing.
LPGA.
That's what. Okay, that's what I was
LPGA.
thinking.
But no, they had a cut tonight to the top 30 amateur
Right.
women. Now, what's really nice is tomorrow, all of the entrants, even the ones that did not make the cut, go get to play a practice round at Augusta National.
That's cool. But what? Even though this is fantastic that they're doing, but you imagine these great players have not played Augusta National.
No, this is going to be
And
interesting.
their final, and they're trying to win the finals on this course they've never played. It's the hardest course ever.
It is already set up for the Masters,
Right.
which starts next week.
Of course.
So it could be a little bit of a Valentine's Day massacre.
It could be exactly. It could really make. I tell you, it's almost you think as these are the best female amateurs in the United States. You would think easily it could be a situation where nobody even shoots even par.
Yeah, that's very,
Yeah.
be like me and you going to a good golf
No,
course.
it wouldn't be like me. These girls are way better than me.
yeah,
and
they
you.
are.
Oh, yeah.
Way better. But
Yeah,
yes.
because I know several years ago I was in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and there's a place called Old Stone Country Club, which was designed to compete with Valhalla in the state as the best. and we got there 2 days after the NCAA regional championship.
Right.
And it was like bring the bandages.
Oh, yeah.
you couldn't get a putt to stop going downhill.
Oh yeah, Mike. And anytime, like and you've done it too.
Yeah.
I've been on courses down here in Florida where they've just set up for a qualifier.
Yeah.
For some of the mid-level pros.
Yeah.
And the course will be so ridiculous.
Yeah.
For us as amateurs.
They had the Symetra Tour at Charlotte National at Bobcat Trail about a month ago.
Right.
And they got those greens. Now the LPGA told them. Now the Symetra Tour, for those of you who don't know, is like the minor league for. That's how you qualify to get to the
It's like
LPGA.
farm league ball.
Yeah. And they said don't get them much above a 10 or an 11. They got them to 12 and a half.
I was gonna say.
And the women loved it. You know,
nice.
The women loved it, but where I was going with this,
I was thinking I would think they would mostly play at 11 or 12.
Well, the ones this weekend out in California are 12.
Yeah.
Now you can remember because you're old.
Yeah.
Is back when a 10 was considered fast.
Oh God, yeah.
10 was fast.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Because they didn't have the ability to run those greens that quick and not kill.
Well, I know at Bobcat in the morning they would cut the greens, roll them, and then cut them again.
Right. I just played over at Sarah Bay yesterday, and they and that's a Donald Ross course here in Sarasota that, other than the concession, is renowned to have the fastest, most difficult greens, and they just rebuilt them so they don't hold either. Oh, there's a concession. The concession
on the TV
ad came on the TV.
How did you do that?
I don't know. I wish I knew. They won't,
They're
so yeah, I mean it's. And you were sitting here talking about 10s and 12. For anybody that doesn't play golf, and Mike, the deal is that there's a thing called a stimp meter, and it's how it gauges how fast the ball is going to roll on the green.
That's what I was about to ask you.
It's how quick it is, and so the higher the number, the faster the green.
So when your ball hits.
And when they get a green that's like. Sometimes with the PGA guys where it might be running a 13 or 14 or even a 15, I mean, it's almost like a tabletop. I mean, it's, to get your ball to stop. So Bronwyn just snuck in like she didn't know we were going to say she was here. That's our assistant, our box office manager. So anyway, I was just amazed that, so that makes sense that we won't see anything till
Saturday.
tomorrow.
I think Saturday at noon is when they're going to telecast the finals. Now think about this, and this hit me for next year.
Right.
All right, how hard is it to get a ticket to the Masters? Almost impossible.
Yeah, you got to be in a lottery.
Now here's the kicker: a lot of people. I just want to see the golf course.
Yes.
Guess what? Here's a way to go see it next year. You get a ticket to that event.
Absolutely.
And now you get to see Augusta.
And not only that. But when you go Masters Week, because I've done it before. Have you done it?
No, I don't have that much money.
All right. Well, I do, kid. Let me tell you how this works. No, but the deal is when you go Masters Week, and it's the same way if you went to Super Bowl or the Olympics or anything like that.
Yeah.
A Motel 6 in Augusta, a Motel 6 who right now you could go get a room there for $60-$70
a night.
Will be $250 a night.
Minimum, right?
Minimum. And so and a nice hotel will be $400 or $500 a night. The Kentucky Derby's that way.
Same way.
We stayed at a Holiday Inn and paid $750 a night.
Holy
at
shit.
a Holiday Inn
Damn.
to go to.
Did they fluff your pillows at least?
No,
no
it's
chocolate.
a Holiday Inn. It's still a Holiday Inn.
$700 if some girl comes to fluff my pillows.
But you know the goof is there's no in Louisville, same as Augusta.
Yeah.
There's maybe one really nice hotel, maybe one. I mean, the Holiday Inn that we were staying. Now it was a Crown Plaza.
Okay.
Oh well.
Pam goes down in the gift shop the morning before the race, and there's only one other person staying in the gift shop, Jerry Rice.
Oh,
she's staying there. We find out. One of the big rap stars, not Ice Cube. I'm trying.
So many.
Yeah, but anyway.
Snoop Dogg.
A couple of the big rap stars. I mean, there were several celebrities, but it's
Right.
just you, and that's the way Augusta is. So, to get a ticket, to get a ticket to the actual round, it means you're using someone else's ticket. All tickets are assigned. It's as if every ticket at the Super Bowl was a season ticket that somebody owned.
Oh, really?
Okay, so
Oh.
if you got a ticket, you were getting someone's ticket who didn't want to go.
So it's very exclusive. Like,
So it's
Yeah.
very exclusive. And if you go as a guest, Mike, or Gid, or any of us, if we went as somebody's guest, because they know whose ticket you're in
Yeah.
on when you check in.
Okay.
If you caused a problem and got kicked out, that holder could lose their ticket.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
So that's very you're trusting.
It,
this
it,
person.
you know,
Wow.
it's like they don't want any hassles in
No,
there.
no.
But when you go on the practice round, back in the early 90s, 93, 94, when I think Freddie won and Olazábal won, my buddy Mark Williams was a pro at a course in Aiken, South Carolina, which is right beside Augusta. And so we went and hung out with him, because still to get a hotel room or anything like that was astronomical. But back then, you paid $15 at the gate to go
Wow.
in on Monday or
Wow.
Tuesday. You paid $15 at the gate, and because they're just practicing.
Yeah.
And on Tuesday they let you bring your cameras, and they still do, and you can
Yeah.
take pictures because they're just practicing.
Yeah, it
you
doesn't
know,
matter.
so you can fire away. And but you know, I checked. I mean, like right now, I think if someone would sell you a ticket, I believe you're probably, to get in there on a regular round, I'm at least $500 to
Yeah.
$1,000,
Yeah.
something like that. And then once again, you got to find a place to stay. A lot of people will stay in Atlanta
Yeah,
and just
just
drive the
well,
4
I did
hours
a-
over
Right,
and
right,
back.
yeah,
You know?
I did a show several years ago about halfway to Atlanta, and they put us, we get lodging at night.
Yeah.
They put us in a 7-bedroom house. When I say 7 bedrooms, it was on a big planned community, 3 stories, huge basement, 87 friggin' recliners in the basement with big screen TVs. And I told the
Nice.
lady, I said, "What is with this house?" She goes, "Well, the guy that built the house built it for Augusta, because he gets so much money." And she said, "I can't tell you how much he gets for it,
Right.
but you think we can put like 20 people in this house?"
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're getting 20 people, let's say $200 a person a night, and he only does it for the week, you got to take it. You got to take it Monday to Sunday.
And I bet he's getting more than $200
Probably.
a person a
but
night.
well, it's got to be. But he was like, "Holy crap!" I mean, I
Yeah.
was almost late for the show because I got lost in the house.
Exactly. That's cool. That's cool. Well, you're exactly right. I didn't think about that. This is a way that people could, but it'll be interesting to find. I'll be interested to check out next year that very thing. What can we get
Yeah,
tickets
I'm
to
gonna
see
watch
the girls
it.
playing
Yeah.
on Saturday?
I'm gonna-
It is. I tell people, if you don't even play golf, you don't
Yeah.
care anything about golf, to see the botanical garden that place is.
Yeah.
The grass is a color you've never seen. I mean, it really is such a deep, dark green. You have to touch it. It looks unreal.
Well,
Fake. Yeah.
It does. It looks a little fake, and it's just a gorgeous place.
They put watercoloring or coloring into Ray's Creek from time to time. When they
Uh-huh.
had the heavy rains in the spring,
Oh, yeah.
and the water was brownish, they helped it. They helped it.
Well,
And
they said they have all these underground labyrinth of water pipes
Yep.
to heat the ground
Yeah.
to certain
serious?
temperatures
Well, and
to make the azaleas pop
Yeah.
at the right time.
So it's just the best kept course. In,
Whoever. I
Oh,
don't-
there's nothing like it.
I don't know who the greenskeeper head guy is there, but he's probably a millionaire.
Oh, absolutely.
But see, now
more
you've
than
been-
that.
Now you've been there, and the one thing that people tell me from the first time they see it is they're surprised at how hilly it is.
Oh, the elevation is. I mean, a friend of mine is an airline. He's a pilot. He's a private pilot, jet pilot. And Mike just told me, he goes, "Hey man, I gotta let you know, I'm going to Augusta. A guy hired me to fly, them up, private jet. He's going up, and the guy told him, he goes, "You're going. I have a ticket for you. They're not making him sit in the jet. He gets to go in
That's
with them."
awesome, man.
So he's like, "How should what? What do I do?" And I go, "Well, what you want to do is you want to go to the first tee and walk the whole course. You just want to
Okay.
walk the course." Now, I told him, I go, "Put on your hiking boots."
Yeah.
Because walking that whole course is a chore
Yeah.
if you're not
Yeah.
used to walking.
Yeah.
It
Well,
is
and see,
a lot
this,
of elevation.
See, this is another thing about these amateur girls that are going to play there. A lot of them are college players.
Yes.
And in college, what do? You carry your own bag. Now, I'm hoping that they know enough to make sure they've got a caddy.
At Augusta, they will assign them a caddy. Oh, I guarantee you they will.
So if we got invited to play, they'd give us a caddy?
Yes. You have to have a caddy.
There
ain't no whether you want to or not.
There's no cart path only?
No, you'll have a caddy. And he will make sure that you're, because the thing is, of course, you need a caddy.
Oh, yeah.
And all those girls will need a local caddy.
Yeah.
They really will. Even if some of those girls have a caddy that's normally with them, I don't know, maybe they'll let those caddies go out there and walk the course.
Yeah, but why would you want to? You'd want a local.
You'd want a local caddy, and to be able to tell you what's going on.
This would be if we played it with the caddy. You know what his first question would be with us? How many golf balls did you bring? And we
are you here?
We go 12. He goes, not enough.
Who do you know? Actually, my buddy who was the pro there, Mark. Every year, because Augusta only has play, they only allow play on the course, I think, for 5 months, maybe, is all. The rest of the time, it's just making it perfect.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yes.
That's so crazy.
And so all the head pros in the area, they give them 1 round every year, and they take, of course, all of their assistant pros or their top 3 assistant pros. Well, he's one of my college buddies, fraternity brother. And there was 5 or 6 of us, been up there. We're up there twice with him, and he'd already played it a couple of times. We were like, "How long do you have to be here as a pro before one of us get invited?" He goes, "You won't live that long."
Well, okay.
And he's a good friend.
We'll just start looking somewhere else.
No. There was a guy that got into comedy years and years ago. I never met him. But he was if I remember correctly, he was like the vice president in charge of Mary Kay. Like he was 1 step below Mary Kay. Yeah. Right? He was in charge of their marketing and sales or whatever. He was a member of he could get you on Augusta. He could get you on any golf course anywhere.
Really?
He was one of those guys. He was connected. And so he wanted to be a stand-up comic. And Mary Kay was based out of Texas, either Houston or Dallas. So he started being an open micer and da-da-da-da-da. And then he got good enough to where he could be an opening, maybe even a middle act. He had 20, 25, 30 minutes of material. And he was decent. And so and they said when he would get a gig, he would stay wherever the comic stayed. Even though this guy could go get a suite at the Ritz-Carlton, he stayed wherever the comic stayed, no matter how shitty it was.
That's cool. That's
but so all of a sudden, he gets the first couple of clubs he plays that the owner is a golfer. He takes them to Augusta.
Oh no.
Within a month, this son of a bitch was the most sought-after opening act in America. We were going after him like crazy. I'll pay you $3,000 to open my club.
Yeah,
he goes, "It ain't about the money." I said, "I know it's not about the money."
Well, and that's funny because I bring nothing to the plate. I just have to do what I have to do.
Right.
But you hear these stories. See, that's the other thing. And this. I started here 10 or 11 years ago. Took your class.
And you started at the ripe age of 50.
No, 61.
You were 61. You started 60, right?
And I really was just going to play with it a little bit. And then all of a sudden it started to grow. And the only thing that makes me wish I had started earlier is when I hear people like you and Vic, who's here this week, and all that, tell these road stories. About stuff that happened on the road, and I went, boy, did I miss out on a rolling party.
It was cool when you were 25 to 35. You know what I mean? After that,
I sat down with Tim Wilson one night between shows, and he'd listen to him talk for like an hour, and oh my God, Ron Schock, Tim Wilson, all those guys.
Oh yeah, some of the greatest guys. We were talking about Tim and Ron last night. Me and Vic were. Speaking of damn devil. Vic Henley just in the room. Our headliner, Vic.
Vic. Let me explain how this works, okay?
I've been right there for 10 minutes.
He's been where he needs to be. Pam caught him, and he did the right thing. He stayed right
You do what? Well, we all know you do what Pam says.
And wrong one too. No,
That's
between
right.
I was double teamed in a good way.
We have been sitting here talking about Augusta National stories and the fact that the women's amateur thing is
I was going to
there.
ask you about that. I saw that earlier.
Well, I was saying I couldn't find it anywhere broadcast. I was like, hey, how much does that suck? Well, Gid just let me know. The first 2 rounds, they don't play at Augusta. They play somewhere close.
See?
So they're only playing tomorrow at Augusta.
No,
I knew
Saturday.
they'd fudge it. I knew they'd find some way to fudge it. But
Yeah.
it just couldn't be too good to be true. That,
Right.
They're always been a little accused of being chauvinistic.
Of course.
And then now, first time, all the girls coming on out. No, except for you got to start over here.
Go, yeah,
Community campus, campus B, community college. Then you work your way up to the university.
That's right. We're talking about how unfair is it that their final round is on Augusta
Certainly.
and they've never played.
Yeah, that's oh my goodness.
You know.
I didn't even think about that.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
We
yeah.
were going, if
Right.
any of these girls break,
Yeah.
shoot under par, it'd be unbelievable.
Hey, you've never driven on a NASCAR track before. Let's start with Daytona. Just get out there and get it. Just get out there and get it.
It's that right side pedal. Just push
Yeah,
it.
That's
just
right.
push it. Turn
And
that
when,
thing.
when your car goes at about 90 degrees.
Don't let that throw you.
No, don't let that throw you. Just hit the gas.
Okay,
hard.
here's what just happened. Sarcasm and Southern just showed up in the room. All right, and I got to tell you this, Vic, Vic, I'm driving home last night, and my wife says you're starting to sound like Vic. I went, I'm sorry, because I started
Well, see,
mimicking.
if I get around him less, then it starts, and then it just is a downhill
because
effect
what
after
happens,
that.
and I have just enough Southern, because I'm from Kentucky, and that's really not the South. They like to think it's the South. That if I'm around a real Southerner long enough, my M's and all that start to stretch out at the end of my words.
That's good. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that at all.
I
He's
always
been,
say
he's
it.
been coasting on this for 1,000
Oh,
years.
oh God, yeah. Matter of fact, the first time Pam and I ever really talked, we were waiting tables at this same place here, and I had a degree in theater, and I found out she's down here getting her master's degree because Florida State's program is down here.
Okay.
So we get in a little conversation, and I tell her, I said, hey, you're in theater. I said, I have my BFA. From University of Memphis. She goes, why don't you do something about that accent? That was the first thing out of her mouth. And I was like, there's millions of people dig this accent. Millions. And that's all I need. I don't need, if I got the Southeast, I'll take it.
Sure.
Why don't you do something?
Why don't you do something about that accent?
I know, right?
No.
That's what I tell people all the time. I moved to New York. That's all I'm doing about it.
Right.
I ain't taking lessons. My older brother, my oldest brother played football, and when he was finished playing, he was doing local modeling around the Southeast, and he was pretty good at it, right? And he got so good at it that some of those agencies decided to send him to New York because they thought, and he was too big because of the football, so he was just a little too big for all the sizes for the print work. And his accent was 1,000 times worse than mine. So there was no way he was going to get to do anything. So they told him to go home and take some lessons. Now, I don't know this at all. He's 12 years older than me. Yeah. I'm just over hanging out at college weekend. We're watching some football or something. And I can hear him in the back bedroom. I hear somebody going, A, E, I, O, U. It goes on and on 2 or 3 times. No. I finally go down the hall. I look at him. He's in front of the mirror doing this. And I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, they told me if I wanted to make it in the modeling world, I had to work on my accent.
Here's how it came down. A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes y'all.
Yeah, okay, true. Sometimes y'all. But I remember that was the first day. I was probably about 20, and he's 32, and I'm like, you're my oldest brother. You were my hero till today. You were my hero till today. This is the first time I've actually thought I don't have anything to do with you at all.
But people ask me, I'm sure you get it too, especially up in New York. I'm down here in South Florida, which is New York.
Sure.
That's what I was
Oh,
about to
God,
say.
yeah.
But they're like, you never got rid of your accent. And I go, no, I never saw any need to get rid of my accent.
Yeah.
And me and you both have this. When we go home, we don't have an accent.
My friends tell me they think mine's gone.
I know.
They actually
Really?
I'll not be
Really?
there less than an hour, and someone will go, we don't know who you are anymore. I know who you are. You're a dumbass. You can't hear this.
I used to, when we opened the Comedy Catch in Chattanooga first, and then came down here. So when I first came down here to open the club, I booked a bunch of those guys
Sure.
up there. I mean, I get up there. get on that stage and talky like this. And I mean, my crowds are sitting there. I mean, they're nice and they're wanting to, and they go. I go. There's as far as they're concerned, that guy's speaking a foreign language. They had no idea what they were saying.
But you know Daniel Whitney, a.k.a.
Cable guy.
Guy.
But Dan's not.
But he's,
country.
I know it. He's not like that. That's what I'm saying. If you talk to him, that's not his stage guy.
He copied it. It's a combination of a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, but you know, Dan grew up in Nebraska, but by the time he was a teenager, his parents, I believe, had moved to Palm Beach.
Palm Beach, yeah.
And he went to high school in Palm Beach, so I mean, he really never
so
grew up with heart. I mean, I don't think.
He's from the country, but they don't have an accent where he's from.
No.
I've been out there to Pawnee City and Beatrice. I've been to his house where he lives now, and not a soul anywhere within 1,000 miles of him sounds like this. He co-opted it from his time in South Florida, listening to various people come down here, the Southerners coming down here on vacation, the Spring Breakers.
Right.
He copied us. Then.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Tom Ryan says it's him. Tom Ryan has a comedian who has no accent, but Ryan, and they're dear friends. They're 30 years, but Ryan can talk just like him, and he'll go, "He stole this from me." And he'll just start talking like him, which is not true at all. Which Whitney thinks is hilarious.
Oh God!
Not unless you get a residual check.
That's true.
Oh man. Oh. Great. So anyway, hopefully we'll get to see the women's amateur tomorrow for a little while.
I did not know that. So they're only round.
Saturday.
I didn't know it until Gid just told me.
Oh, they're getting the last 2 rounds.
No, they're doing a practice round tomorrow, and then Saturday there is the final actual tournament.
Oh, they get a practice
because
round.
what they're doing is they're giving all the girls, including the ones that didn't make the cut, a chance to play Augusta.
Okay.
And I was telling him, I said, I guarantee you, they're assigning them Augusta caddies. They would have
I would hope
to.
so.
It would be a bloodbath.
Unless you're just going to blindfold them.
Sometimes that works better, I find.
You never know. Hey, you know what? It's actually frisbee golf. We're not playing regular golf. We're switching it up on you. It's actually frisbee.
My buddy that was a head pro up in Aiken, who played it a couple times, he goes, I can't tell you how many times. And of course, when you talk about the elevation, you're walking up towards. And how many shots you hit into they're blind shots into a green.
Yeah.
And you hit, and this is a pro.
Right.
And he goes, and I hit a shot and I go, that is fucking on it. And he goes, as you're walking up, that ball is rolling back towards you as fast.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, like somebody hit it back there. Back
with another club.
you.
With another.
You know, like did that hit a tree? What happened?
Wow.
And he goes, man, it's just, it's unfathomable, for.
Well, I knew that's why that famous year when Sergio was running and jumping.
Yeah.
He's doing that because he was trying to see.
Yeah.
He's running and hopping because he didn't know where the damn thing was.
No,
there's
have you been to the grounds before?
My freshman year at Auburn, I worked for the sports information department, and I got to go with the athletic director of the first round on Thursday, and we walked the whole round, and I had credentials because that was my job.
Yeah.
And then, like an idiot, I stayed in Auburn to chase women the next 3 days instead of going back. I could have gone all 4 days if I'd have wanted to, but I was 18 and horny.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, there's a hand job waiting for me at the pot couch.
Yeah.
To hell with the
You'd
master.
seen the course.
Right, once, but I mean, I
enough.
should have gone back. That was one of the biggest regrets.
Wow.
Yeah, I went to I went to practice round twice, but back then you could pay $15 and go in.
I've heard of that. Yeah, right.
And then we went back. I was in the lottery and got tickets one time and took Pam. But Gid made a point, to go. It's like going to Super Bowl or anything else. A Motel 6, we talked about this early, costs you $300 a night.
Yeah.
If you can get tickets, oh my
Certainly.
God, and the whole nine. And the practice round tickets, last time I got mine about 5 years ago, I said just for the hell of it, because they cost me $30 a piece or something. I said, let's see what I can sell them for, and I could have sold them for $300 or $400.
Oh wow, okay, well, that makes
Tuesday,
sense. That
for the
makes
damn
sense.
practice
Yeah,
round.
that makes sense. Though.
So it's just astronomical to go to this thing. But Gid was making the point, now that these girls are playing on that Saturday, I wonder what it would be like to get a ticket for that. That might be your way to go see
that's
the course.
true. And see some probably decent golf too. I'm sure these girls don't suck.
Oh God,
No, they do.
No.
Because they're from Auburn.
All right, no, we'll cut one of them.
But
She
you know,
might.
just to see the course itself. Now you said you're from Oxford,
I'm from Oxford, Alabama.
but that is Auburn.
No, it's 100 miles from Auburn.
Oh, okay.
Ole Miss is Oxford, Mississippi.
Right.
And usually that's where people get confused. They're like, the colleges are. I'm like, no, that's Ole Miss in Oxford,
Is
Mississippi.
Oxford west or south?
It's between Birmingham and Atlanta on I-20. I-20 goes right across the northern part of the state, and it's 100 miles. It's 100 miles to Atlanta and 50 miles to Birmingham. It's almost
I
dead
played
in the
a
middle.
gig there one time, the Alabama
Show Palace.
Yes.
you did. You're lucky to get out alive.
Let me tell you what, the guy behind, I was the first one
Sure, of course
to
you
do
were.
it, and it was through Creative, and I walked in, and I met the owner, and he knew my grandfather.
Oh, that's the
And
South.
that helped.
That's sure.
And so then he was willing to. I go, look, man, do you mind if I reset your room a little bit to make this better? And he said, yeah. So he let me do a few things, which because it's a big fucking dance floor.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
So then the three doormen, big old huge motherfucker, sitting up there. I said something about hecklers. He goes, the guy turns around and he had the butt end of a 9mm sticking out of the back of his pants, and he goes, "You won't have any hecklers."
It was that kind
And
of
the
play.
guy beside him, he goes, "He can pick them out of a crowd."
Still let the good ones stand. Don't even have to worry about injuring a bystander.
And then he goes, and you better be funny, boy.
Yeah, same thing.
How much time you doing, Les?
About 15 minutes,
15 minutes.
20 max.
All right.
Was that the signal that we're being too loud? Or
No.
No. She was just telling you it's time to go.
Just coming through.
Okay, all
Oh,
right.
don't forget this, Les.
No, we're fine. We're fine.
Oh, good.
And once again, this is just we're just chatting, whatever hell you
Winter-
want to talk about.
That's the same bar where
Catherine.
Foxworthy told a story of where he went in there and the guy came over when he walked off stage and paid him in front of all the crazy people. He walked wide up, a big, a rough and rowdy crowd. The guy walks over and goes, "So it's $350, right? 20, 40." He just started counting the money out. And he goes, as soon as they handed it to him and walked away, he goes, like 30 guys ran up to him and goes, "You shoot pool?"
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, "Yes, I do, and I'm awesome. As a matter of fact, my stick is in my car. I'll be right back."
With Ronnie Bullard.
And he hauled ass as quickly as
Oh,
possible.
I'm sure.
That
Holy
was.
shit.
And you know who had played there the week before I was there? The Judge.
Of course. Oh God, I
That
got
place must have handled 2,000 people.
Yeah, it was a big ass.
August.
Yeah, big place.
God, that was crazy.
Oh, well, that was interesting.
Yeah, I can't see them playing in there.
Oh.
God.
I had a great show with them.
I was telling him before you got here, one of the things I missed out on is since I was 61 when I got into comedy, I missed all these road stories.
Oh, sure.
All these places when comedy was just booming in the 80s, and late, and all that stuff. And
Right.
everybody, if you were a comedian, you could they'd hire you because they didn't know.
Right. There was more work than people.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And now
So
there's
yeah, your buddy could recommend you, and they were just looking for people.
Yeah.
Clubs were popping up in places where there shouldn't be a club.
Right.
Little tiny towns like, which Dayton, Ohio, isn't a small town.
No,
but
no.
You need 500,000 people usually to make this work.
To make it
And-
work,
And back then, towns of 100, 150,000. Dayton, Ohio had 2 clubs. Montgomery,
Yeah.
Alabama.
Really?
A lot of places that couldn't support one
Right.
had 2.
Because they're all just jumping on
For a
board.
year or two, everybody. Rolling Stone put it on the cover one year. I think it was in '85. They put on the cover that comedy was the rock and roll of the '80s.
Right.
And for about 7 years, from about '84 to '91, '92, it just blew up all over American. A&E had 3 different comedy shows just on A&E.
That's crazy.
yeah.
Where
And then
the
you
com-
had
the host and the comedy.
Just stand-up comedy, right?
Just
not-
stand up, just the
stand-up.
host and the guy standing in front of the brick wall. Comedy on the road, where they would go to different clubs out in
Yeah.
America. They had A&E's Evening at the Improv
Well,
that they shot at the Improv
Bud
out in
Friedman
LA.
did a night at the Improv.
Yeah, there was Caroline's Comedy Hour. It
Right,
was out of Times Square, Caroline's in New York City.
Right,
Those are
right.
3 right there, just on the A&E network.
Oh, my God.
Everybody had a guy standing in front of the blick. If you were
Just-
clicking around, you were
Right,
going to
right.
see just as much as you see a reality show today. Just about, you were going to see
That's
a
crazy.
comedian
So-
in baggy pants and '80s clothes standing in front of a brick wall.
Okay, so let me ask you this, and I'm serious. Now, Les's club, and I don't do nearly as many clubs. I do mostly corporate and stuff like that.
Sure.
But he draws a crowd. He gets a bigger crowd on Wednesday night than most people get on a Saturday.
Well, that's true. I mean, this is an A room.
It's all in the
and
marketing,
everybody
yeah.
knows that too. But you got to stay on top of it. You have to
Right.
be a caring club owner and a good club owner.
Yeah,
Most
exactly.
of those clubs that failed, it's because they cared. It was because the bar business people had just in various forms of bar. When karaoke's big, they off that. When Western was big, they put the bull in their bar or whatever.
Right,
you know?
right.
But that's the skeevy bar world, and they would snort up all the profits or drink them all, or somebody ended
Right.
up. So most of those clubs didn't fold because the city rejected comedy. It was just bad business management. And
Yeah.
he's not that. And
He's a
that's why-
comic,
That's
too.
and yes, right. That's why he's been
Exactly.
thriving for 30-something
Well,
years. You have to care.
yeah.
And these little independent mom and pops. Comedy Off Broadway in Lexington, Kentucky, the Comedy Magic in Hermosa Beach, California, the Comedy Castle in
Yeah.
Detroit, Michigan. Those are the ones that have survived because
Right.
it's their business.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
care.
And they know what to do, and they've taken care of the comedians and their community.
Yeah.
And the people know they're not going to get something skeevy. And
That's
so-
what every comic, when they come in here, they always say almost the same thing about they feel like they're taken care of.
Dude, I'm in the condo over there. Do you know
Yeah.
how many nightmare stories there are about condos
Yeah,
across
yeah.
the country? I told Pam the other night, it is so refreshing to get in the shower and go, I don't care if this shower curtain touches my leg.
You know, it's
Everything's
funny.
going to be fine. I'm not
just
going to have to
always
run across the street and buy a new one at Walgreens.
I did a show in Myrtle Beach about 3 years ago, and we went into the condo. And the only reason I did that is because we were with another comedian that I knew.
Right.
Because I wouldn't do it if I didn't know the other comedian. And so we go into our bathroom off of our bedroom, and we looked, and we didn't even. We went back to Walmart and bought the shower curtain.
Of course.
And what was
Oh
so
my
funny
God.
is
I was just telling you, that's common. This
They
is
just don't
super
care.
common.
when
No.
we
give a
got
fuck.
when we got the key from the lady to go to the condo, she says, "I want you to know I'm the one that cleans the condo." So it's and I went on like, I should go back and slap her.
Right, yeah. Then
Yeah.
then you
She's
need
like
to do-
half blind and
Right.
Yeah, you
has
know,
no
like
sense of smell.
Well,
She's
I
the
mean,
one who's
it's,
cleaning
you know,
it. Yeah.
I'm actually in this bed in my my underwear. Otherwise, I'm fully clothed. Every condo, I've turned the air conditioners in the dead of summer, or dead of winter. I got the air conditioner going full blast because I'm sleeping in socks and sweatpants and a long
Poncho.
sleeve t-shirt. Absolutely, it's that. Or if you're that's if you get a firm mattress. Usually,
Right,
you get the
right.
mattress that you lay on, and the damn thing folds up around like a hot dog bun. You're just right there in the middle of it, you know.
Oh my god.
Oh, there's so many, you know, the clean. I told there's the Keurig was loaded up and ready to go. There's,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
there's biscotti
It's like-
in this condo. There's biscotti, for God's sake.
It's like a fantasy place to stay. I don't know. It's like vacation for a lot of comics. I know that.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, I was just trying to think of what might not be in there, and I don't think
Yeah.
anything you could think of. You
No.
know, you could be one of these hipster bearded comics and go, I wonder if they got any beard oil. Hell yeah, open up the medicine cabinet. I'll be damned, they got beard oil.
Kombucha and beard oil.
Right, exactly. I brought my skateboard. I wonder if they got a wheel wrench. Oh, right here in this drawer. Look at that. How'd they know I was going to have my skateboard with me?
That's so funny.
So no, it's just A's high first class.
Yeah, man.
I'm just moving from room to room watching different televisions.
Right.
Seriously.
Well,
That's how you know you're living right.
The other one he used to have when he was over on 41 had an orange tree in the backyard. And if you get the right time of the year, you had fresh oranges.
Ah, that's
like,
so good.
Wow, yeah.
Amazing.
I lived in L.A. for a little bit, and I had an orange tree and a lemon tree, and
Yeah.
it just tickled my Alabama ass to death. I just couldn't believe it. It was like a fantasy. I just, look at that right there. I can just take it off and eat it.
We moved to Florida 15 years ago, and my mother calls me up one day, and she goes, when you come to visit, could you bring us some Florida oranges? I said, Mom, go to Kroger.
They're all Florida oranges.
They're all Florida oranges.
Right.
We just don't shine them up down here. We just eat them like, we don't do the.
Yeah, we don't
running-
paint them.
Paint them, you know.
Pam McCurdy
And here
walking
comes
in the
Pam.
building.
Come here, Pam.
We were just singing your praises.
Well, thank you.
This is about 5 minutes on how nice the condo is.
Yay!
Seriously, it really was. I know. I was literally trying. I'm just now trying to think of items that are not in there, just to go crazy. I'm like, I need a rolling pin. Well, let me open up. There's a rolling pin.
You have to admit, though, in the old days, I
Oh,
mean, when I would go
that's what we were
meet
talking about.
Les
Oh,
on the road,
oof.
oh
Oh.
my God.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
and
spe-
I'm
as a
hanging
woman-
out with all
yeah, as
guys,
especially a
too, to
woman,
begin
yeah.
with. I mean, one of the rooms, the guy just rips the mattress off the bed, throws it on the floor, Ollie Joe Prater.
Yeah.
I was in the same condo with that man.
Oh my gosh.
He was a monstrosity. He died.
Yeah.
He
600
died.
pounds.
If you saw him, the first time you ever saw him, you're like, oh, he'll be dead in a year.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And he stole everybody's material, so everybody hated him anyway. So nobody cared.
Yeah.
But he was really kind of nice.
Yeah, he was when he got drunk. He
Oh.
always end up crying. I love you guys.
Yeah.
I love you
So
guys.
weird. He had to sit. He was so big. He had
Emotional-
to sit down.
emotional
You know,
guy.
it's
He's
crazy.
a mess. But yeah, condos. condos back then, you'd walk in, there'd be nothing. And you'd sit down on a chair and, whoa!
It
shit.
just breaks.
Yeah.
There's 2 coffee makers. There's a Keurig and a regular one. If I wanted to go, and there's filters and both kinds of coffee. The little Keurig cups are in there. I'm like, really, Pam? 2 kinds of coffee? Well, you never know. Some people like a cup. Some people like
It's true. Some people travel with their coffee.
Oh, yeah, God.
I know some people who are coffee connoisseurs, and it's important that they have theirs,
Specific.
Yeah, so I'll put it.
My buddy DC Benny's a New York comic, and he called me today about something we've got going in New York next week. And he goes, what are you doing? I go, having a cup of coffee and a dark chocolate almond biscotti. He goes, where are you? I go, I'm in the condo. He goes, they've got biscotti in the condo? I'm like, hell yes, they do, Ben.
Nowhere else.
Well, you'd be surprised. And a lot of times you're stuck too. This is all so close to, you can walk to the club, you can walk downtown. There's a lot of times you're out there underneath the underpass at some Holiday Inn. It's a nice hotel, but like in Austin, Texas, there's no sidewalks. You can't walk anywhere.
Oh, geez.
So you have to call an Uber or call a cab, and you have to get in the car and go somewhere. Or you have to jump across 8 lanes of interstate traffic. I've done that. I've been hauling my cracker ass across 8 lanes of interstate because Papacita's was on the other side, and I wasn't going to Uber across the road. I'm like, I'm just going to make a mad dash to get across there. But this is accessible, and it's really, really nice. No, it's totally.
A lot of the comics walk to the condo. It's pretty fun. I think it helps them too. Like exercise.
I love
brain
it.
a little bit.
Anytime you can walk to work, any comedian will tell you.
Yeah.
I love it when the gig's in the hotel. You just take the elevator down to the lobby.
Right.
I'm that lazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm completely that lazy. I was telling somebody the other night, we were, Rob Bartlett is a crazy Mets fan and a New York legend, worked for Imus and all these guys, and we were in Toledo, Ohio in '86 when the ball rolled through Billy Buckner's leg and let the Mets back, and let them back in, and they won. They eventually won the World Series. Well, he's crazy Mets. So the gig's in the hotel. So he's got me running up in the elevator up to my room, watching an inning or two, and then coming back down because I can get behind the curtain and the crowd can't see me, and I can whisper what's going on in the game. So he would see me come back in the room, and he would inch backwards to the curtain where he could stand there, kind of still doing his act with one ear cocked.
Take a sip of water.
And I'm behind the curtain, and when the ball goes through Buckner's legs, I run back and I'm like, "You're not gonna believe it!" And he goes, "What?" And hold on. And then he finally has to pull the curtain up and goes, I'm a Mets fan. He's been giving me updates the whole game because I think my team just made it to Game 7.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, that's the road. That's nothing better than when the gig is, take the elevator to the gig.
Yeah,
this is second best, but I like the walk.
Yeah.
This reminds me of New York because my home club in New York is the comic strip because it's 8 blocks from my apartment.
Okay.
It's crazy too. You just brought back that you're living in New York, and I just heard you refer to yourself as a cracker.
Right.
But you've lived longer in New York probably than you have
Yes,
in the South.
I left Auburn when I left Alabama when I was graduated from Auburn. Left I was 22, and I've been gone 34 years.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I
Never
think-
got rid of the accent.
yeah.
Still.
No, me and Les call each other
Yeah.
about once a year. You think it's going away? No, I'm okay. So,
It is funny up there in the city though when they hear that accent, and they're just like.
Are
It
they just
stops
taken back?
traffic sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, they're just like,
if you yell across a crowded bar, if Pam was at a table and I was at the bar, and if there were 7 or 8 tables between me and Pam, and I yelled, I'm like, "Hey Pam, I forgot what you wanted. What do you want?" And she went, "Bring me a beer." Yeah. Every head between the two of us would snap like whiplash, like they were watching on Wimbledon.
yeah.
And then on the way back to taking the drinks to the table, Pam, they would all stop me and go, "Where are you from? Sit down.
Right.
Just talk to us.
Really?
Just talk to us. Say something else, cartoon man."
Cartoon.
That is funny.
You lived there though. How long?
I did. I only lived there for about 4 years when I graduated from the Oslo in Sarasota. Moved up there. Great gig, but I had one of those horror stories. I literally had everything I owned in one suitcase. Went to meet my brother.
Oh, no.
I was supposed to arrive in New York City with a roommate, place waiting on me, job.
A lot of people falling for that.
Yeah, she calls me the day before I'm supposed to, be in New York City going, "I'm sorry, but I'm moving in with my boyfriend." I go, "So, did you guys leave me a place?"
Yeah, right.
No, come on, man.
Come on.
Nope.
Oh.
So I'm
It's too late now.
I'm in. I made some phone calls that night freaking out. My friends all rallied, and I'm getting a call on the security. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
Yes, what do we need?
She got to go do some boss
Gotta
lady
go
work.
kick somebody
Gotta do
out.
some boss lady
Some
work.
boss lady.
Don't mess with her. She's a ninja.
Don't mess with Pam.
She's a ninja.
I
The
learned
only
that day
blonde
one.
ninja.
We'll take you out. I've had the pleasure of throwing a couple people out with Pam, and I didn't have to do anything. I just sat
I'm
there.
sure.
I let her do everything she
Stand in the
wanted to do.
background quietly.
Yeah. I was just there to protect them from her. Really, that's all I had to do.
I'm gonna steal the water, man, real quick.
Yeah, man, you walk around, do whatever you got to do, man.
Figured.
It's just a conversation. Right now, both the comics are just doing their thing, getting ready for their sets. I think Les is about to get off soon. There should be some waters in some bottles of water too in the thing, in the little mini fridge.
Yes.
Perfect.
He's got them on stage. Those aren't cool.
Yeah, those are for show.
I opened one and drank it last night.
We got nice bottles of water on stage. We're fancy.
Glass and everything.
Glass and everything.
Not even plastic.
If you drop it, it'll break. You gotta be careful.
Good God. Goddamn, I can't open this song.
Yeah, I'll open it for you. When I serve, I have to open these for people all the time.
All right, see?
You loosened it. You loosened it. That's how that works. How's he doing out there, Gid?
And just checking out the crowd.
Yeah?
A lot of old people.
How's it look?
No, what are the chances of that?
No, it looks good. It's 80%, 85.
I posted if you have 2 oxygen containers, you get in for half price.
Check your walkers at the door.
Check your walker at the door.
No, everything's not all right. I had a lame valet parking guy just told me that he was going to be leaving. He parked some of our customers' cars up front, returned their keys to them, charged them $5, but he's leaving. He's not going to stay for the evening. So I'm calling his
Wait.
boss, and I'm not paying for valet parking for tonight.
Wow. See?
Don't mess.
Don't mess with Pam.
Idiot, though.
Yeah, well, what's his
That
problem?
is- Yeah.
I bet you he's 22.
He's
Okay.
probably 22.
Here's-
He's got something going on.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
I'm going to go stick my head in and watch him.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I would not want to be that valet guy right now, I'll tell you that.
I did a show for a valet company several years ago. It's the only time I ever walked off a stage. It was in
Really?
It was in the East Coast, and it was at a Hilton. Very nice.
For a valet company? Like a little corporate
Yeah, a
gig or
company
something?
that does valet for all the hotels in,
Oh, okay.
in that West Palm area.
Yeah.
And I get over there early because I'm a professional, and I went to the hotel, and I'm talking with the lady who's running the event and the lady from the Hilton catering department
Right.
about the timing.
Yeah.
And it's a large room. It holds probably a couple of thousand, but they got 500 seats up front and a buffet in the back.
Okay.
Or 500 seats and
A
tables. Yes.
buffet.
So
Oh,
here's
no.
what's going to happen. She says we'll start serving at 6, and at about 6:45, the president of the company will go up and make about 10 minutes of remarks, and then you can come up and do your comedy. I said, great, perfect. And the lady from the Hilton said, she says, I know we won't even start you until we get the tables cleared.
Right.
And
right.
once you start, we won't do any more table service till you're over. I said, great. 6:40, they hadn't even started serving dinner. And so all of a sudden they start serving dinner. Now everybody goes to the back.
Yeah,
Everybody.
there's the buffet.
That's where the food is.
Oh, God.
And the lady comes up to me and says, we're running behind. We're going to go ahead and put you up and let you start. I said, well, nobody's in their seats. At their tables, they're all back there. I know, but we need to get back on schedule. So I went up there, and I stayed about 10 minutes, and then it's like, you know what, I'm better than this.
Yeah.
Because there was nobody there.
Yeah.
And then so when I talked to the booker later, he goes, what did you do? I said, what do you mean? She said, you got upset because the audience wasn't responding. I said, no, because they were all in the back getting food.
They weren't
was
there.
no audience.
They weren't even there.
But see,
Yeah.
those are the kind of stories when you're doing comedy, you run through those, and that's what happens to you
Yeah.
because they just take advantage of you.
Well, that sounds like somebody that has no clue how a show runs at all.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and that's one of the things that when you work with somebody like Les, he knows how this thing works.
Yeah.
And it's a well-oiled machine.
Right.
You go to a guy who's decided to
Try
book
this out.
comedy. Let's put comedy in the back room and see how it goes.
Right.
You know, I had a friend who went into a cafe or restaurant in North Carolina, and he shows schedule. He goes in there and he notices that North Carolina is playing basketball that night.
Right.
And it starts at the same time as the show.
Yeah.
And the guy,
Oh,
he says
no.
to the guy, he says, "Well, we need to turn off the television." He says, "Oh, we can't do that because they're here to see the game. We'll just turn the sound off." He goes, "No." He said, "Well, then why don't you just wait until after the game is over?"
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know, so you get that stuff and you just go, "You know what? Okay, give me my money. I'm out
Yeah.
of here."
You don't know what you're doing. Yeah.
Well, that's why
exactly.
now, because I do a lot of my own shows at country clubs and places like that, and I've got a lot of stuff like that in my contract.
Yeah.
You know, because otherwise they don't know.
Yeah, they just don't get it.
They don't know. You know.
Of course, somebody. Oh yeah, they can get food and stand on the line and appreciate comedy at the same time.
Oh yeah.
No, that's
well,
not how it
that's
works.
one of the things. There's a couple of comedy clubs I play at that have regular dinner.
Yeah.
And boy, if you're the feature there, you're throwing yourself on the hand grenade because you're going up and half the people just got their $50 dinner.
Yeah, and they don't care.
They don't care.
They're cutting into steak and
They're
everything.
cutting the steak. Money.
Yeah.
Plus, if they're really old, you don't want them to laugh because they'll choke.
yeah.
That's all you need
You
is
don't
a
want that on your conscience.
911 call in the middle of your set.
Yeah.
I'll be right back after this emergency.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, this is it's a crazy world, and I took Les's class, and I learned so much just listening to the stories. I
Yeah,
mean, good grief. I mean, remember what was the movie with Patrick Swayze? It was the
Roadhouse?
Roadhouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
When the band was behind the chicken wire, and they were throwing beer bottles at the chicken wire.
Oh, was that Roadhouse or
Was
was
it
that Blues Brothers?
No, it was Blues Brothers.
Brothers, they're
Sometimes it's almost the same thing.
Yeah.
You want something between you and the audience.
Right.
Anyway,
Oh, I think.
try. Okay.
Here we go.
I have to go be funny.
All right, Gid's time to shine. They seem like a good audience. I think you'll get them. Right now, Gid's about to be introduced, and then Les will be right back up on the podcast. And Vic just disappeared. He's probably chugging Red Bulls in the corner, getting ready, drinking coffee. Very well done.
Vic, go out and watch the.
Yeah, you want to check out the show for a little bit. Probably keep an eye on the audience.
I know he likes to sign you that, and that's a good thing when a headline, especially in a room you've never played before. You kind of sit in the back and watch.
Just to let you know, I had a little situation with valet parking. I just got off the phone with George.
Go ahead and tell our listeners about
Well-
our situation with valet parking.
Don't fuck around. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
What makes me mad is that the little boy who looks like he's 14 parking cars tonight came up to me to let me know he was returning people's keys to them because he was going home. I said, "What do you mean? You valet parked cars?" "Yeah, I did." "Did you charge the customer $5 and you're giving them their key back to go
God.
get their car?" "Well, they're pulled right up front." No. You
Yeah.
charging them the full price and you're not giving them full
That ain't
service.
the contract we have.
That's
dick
right.
Weed.
Yeah.
So anyway,
It's a service.
that's right. Valet
That ain't
service.
the way the contract reads, you dumb shit.
So I basically I just called George and said, no. If I have I'm paying valet parking.
Yeah.
You're not giving me a discount when no cars come through and they go home.
Yeah.
I'm not getting any. No, I want them here till the guy pays $5 to have his valet.
You
he
park
should be,
the car, you
that's
deliver
right.
the car. That's
right.
what valet parking is.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know what I mean? That's what the damn deal is. That's fucking stupid.
So anyway, we worked that out, and we'll have more discussions on that later. Just letting you know. I'm going to go back to the showroom.
All right.
Please
Thank you.
keep control.
All right.
What'd you think?
I was here when that all happened.
Oh.
Yeah.
Saw the boss in action.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw the Tasmanian Devil before she started to twirl. She came in here regular and then started twirling. So I'm like, man, Pam. I was joking too. I could tell something was up, and I go, something's not up with her. She goes, yes, there is.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, sorry.
Really are.
I'm like, sure, but I could tell by her posture
Yeah.
that something was up.
Back when we first opened and we were in the fucking banquet room at the Holiday Inn, you know, and it
Sure.
was just me and her,
Right.
you know, and I mean, when people, you know, somebody, you know, is getting, you know, goofy in the crowd, and to see her little 5'3" ass, I mean, I've seen her walk up to men that she barely comes up to the bottom of their chest,
Right.
Yep.
and she's got that finger up there, and I mean that.
They
nobody
listen.
fucks with her.
Yeah.
It's almost better I think the drunken idiot man will deal with the authoritative smaller female than he would
Yeah.
if you confront brute with brute. I think
Yeah.
the drunk will listen to the lady more
Absolutely.
Yeah,
often.
exactly.
You know,
You got to be a real.
idiot.
We know something that happened here. We have a female security guard for the first time, and so my manager called me. This was several months ago. My manager says, I just interviewed a bunch of people, and she goes, the one I want to hire is a female. And I go, well, no.
Right.
I mean,
Well, sure.
that
right.
was my natural.
You don't hear female bouncer.
Exactly. I go, no, there's, I mean, and of course I started talking about being a certain size and weight, and, you know, she goes, she meets all of that.
Okay.
And I go, and she's, I think, ex-military and all
Oh,
that.
okay.
All that kind
Female
of stuff.
bouncer.
So I go,
She's a badass.
okay, but still, I was thinking more along the lines of, you know, you want a big, intimidating
Yes.
guy. So yeah, that's what you just think, so that that it stops things. But two things happen, and I said no. And then I'm in a luncheon group that's just all business people, and it's an empowerment group. It's not about networking. It's about making each other better,
Okay.
challenging each
All right.
other. So I brought up to the group. I said, I got a situation, and this is how I dealt with it, and I'd like to get your opinion. And every one of them said, hire her.
Oh, yeah, not
They-
even one was with
Not
you.
even one. They
Yep.
all went,
Yep.
Les, and that was what several of them said. They go, I'll bet you find she can diffuse a situation maybe better than a guy can.
For sure. For
And
sure.
and Barbara's been great.
She's
But
been great.
We've
hats
loved her.
off to you for throwing
know.
it out there.
Yeah.
Why go to the luncheon if you're not going to take the benefits of it?
Oh, of course,
You
of
know,
course.
and then
'Cause
learn-
I
and
was
then learn something.
Because I was headstrong. I go, shit. I've been in the bar
That's
business
right.
for
This is right.
40 years. I've
right.
never seen
No.
a female
Right.
dormant security
Yes.
person.
Yeah.
You know, with that, and they go, well, females are in the military. Females are cops. I go, they have guns and nightsticks and pepper spray and backup. You know, I mean, they have a whole
Resources.
team and shit.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, rethinking that, and boy, Barbara's been great.
That's
She
cool to
is-
hear,
yeah.
man. That's a good job.
because we don't, as we said, we don't allow our doormen to lay hands on anyone anyway, unless they
Get a time.
Right.
come at you. You know what I
Defend yourself,
mean?
Sure.
You never do. You always call the cops and let the cops deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, but
There was a club, there was a Funny Bone in Boise, Idaho for about 15, 16 years, and it was a really good club. And but in the middle, somewhere about the 8th or 9th year, for a couple of years, they had this trigger-happy bouncer staff that they had to put their hands on some people and throw some people out. Then they got drunk with power.
Yep.
And then for about a year, when you'd show up, the first thing they wanted to tell you is they were all jacked up because they wanted to throw somebody down the stairs. Because you had to go up. So there was this back interest that got you down to the street, and they prided themselves on just throwing motherfuckers down. You know, and they're just gleefully smiling about
God.
it.
Yeah.
You know, and then so that was during the period where all the communities goes, these guys are a little too excited about beating the piss out of
Like they
people.
want to
Yeah.
throw
Yeah,
people
and they
out,
did,
yeah.
and sure enough, it took about 2 cycles of me going in there. for them to get rid of all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, I was
too,
gonna
too
say,
many
as
people.
an-
People gonna
as
start
an
suing the
owner,
club and stuff.
That's
like
what I
that.
was gonna say.
Yeah,
You get your
right,
ass
right,
sued
right, right.
off. You
Oh,
know?
for sure, for sure,
Oh,
for
for
sure.
sure, man. You know, yeah, without a doubt. No, the police all way back when we first got started. The first time we called the police when we had somebody that we said you need to leave. I mean, they're just it's just that person that's ruining the show.
Yep.
And they're like, no, I'm not going anywhere. And so we call the police, and they come over, and of course, escort them out. But the police always said, you should always call us. You
Certainly.
should never
Don't
try.
even attempt it, right.
No, you should never. No matter how big your guys
Right.
are, you should never do
I'm
that.
sure it makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. And I love that the cops
Oh, hell yeah.
do
Absolutely,
that.
yeah.
You know. And the last time we had it, Jamie Kennedy was here. First time he was ever here. And because
He's not a brawler.
and no, and it was just a couple of years ago, and
Yeah,
he'd
it
never
was-
been here
It
before.
was in this club too, right?
Yes, it was
in
in
this
this
location.
room. And we had two couples, and they were your typical wealthy, 40-ish.
Uh-oh.
You don't tell. Nobody
right.
tells us
Correct.
what we do.
Sure.
Right.
Nobody. We
Yep.
we know people. We can buy and sell you in a heartbeat. Is that
I got it. Yeah, sure.
yeah. So they've been asked 2 or 3 times to be quiet, and they're just like, "Fuck you." And so then our manager goes over and tells them, "Go look, the police are coming," and that's what we always do. We go to them, we go, "The police are on their way." We don't bluff, And so we're giving you a minute. It'll take them a few minutes to get here, so you can be gone.
Yeah, sure.
I'm giving you the
chance.
leeway.
I'm holding the door
You can
open
be
for
out of
you.
here
Right,
way
right.
before they get here, or you can deal with that. And they're like, we ain't going anywhere.
Now you're trespassing at that
Yes.
point. Yeah.
So the 2 cops came in. They were right in the middle of the room, but they were just far enough back where they're, to the stage. You're just seeing
okay.
shadows.
So it's not full on, like, right down.
No,
okay,
no,
right.
not down front. You're just kind of seeing the silhouettes. And Jamie's up on stage, and when the cops walked up, and the 2 guys at the table at first bucked up to him a little bit, and I went, I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's
yeah.
try it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's when the
Go
party
for
got
it.
started.
Yeah.
But thank God the wives had the sense
Yeah.
to go,
Okay, that's
hey guys,
All right.
these are police. I ain't going to jail
Yeah.
tonight. And so there it wasn't like they just tapped on the shoulder and the guys went, oh, okay, and they walked. There was a bit of a discussion and stuff. So Jamie at some point realizes something's going on. He can kind of see, and he ducks under the lights and sees those 2 cops, and he's going, are there police in the showroom? and I'm saying back, I go, yeah, Jamie,
yeah,
there are.
yeah.
He goes, do not fuck with the Mccurdy. He's like, I played a lot of dive ass fuck. He said, this is a nice place.
Sure.
And
That's a
he
good
goes,
point.
McCurdy's will call the fuck.
Yeah, we will.
But I tell you what, me and Pam found out early on, when we first opened, first 2 years is when you had your problems. And once you call the cops in, it takes maybe 7 or 8 times. Then the word gets out.
I agree. You're training your audience.
They
in a
do.
way.
They
Yeah,
go,
yeah,
you can't fuck
absolutely.
around in there. They'll
Yeah.
call the cops, just like if you're in the
Anywhere.
community theater
Absolutely.
being a dickhead.
Right.
They will call the police there. It's not just a bar, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And when we moved, each time we moved, you had to retrain that.
Makes sense.
You had to show that you were willing
Of
to
course,
do
no.
it.
But we were talking about the difference between good clubs and bad clubs earlier. A lot of them won't take the time to do that.
I know.
They won't, and you really do. The good hands-on people, not part of a chain. It's usually somebody that's got their life at stake, like Les.
Yeah.
But they learn these, they know these things, and then they apply them. They don't just let it coast on through, hoping they'll catch on. You have to train them. You're going to start on time.
Yeah,
You start starting at 5 after, then it's 10 after, then it's 15 after. Then over the course of a year, your audience has learned you don't have to be at the show on time.
Yep.
Well, it doesn't start till 7:15, even though it says 7.
Yep.
And those little nuts and bolts are what make the A room versus the C or D room.
Right,
Yeah.
of
So,
Yep. You
For
don't
sure.
let the audience designate
Right.
what happens.
And
you
yeah,
know?
and they also have to be the good ones like himself. they'll also book things that they might not like personally. It might not be their kind of sense of humor.
God, yeah.
But through your
Right.
first few years, you got to bring in every kind of thing in the world to find out what your audience wants to see. How far
yeah.
are they willing to go?
Absolutely.
Will they
Yeah.
see anything from PG-13 to XXX to a
Yeah.
mime or a music act? And it's just, again, you have to pay attention to that and apply that, and the good ones do, and then the bad ones don't.
Oh, I said years ago, and I've made this statement many times. If I only booked who I liked, we'd have gone out of business
Sure.
in a year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the good owners will say that and tell you that,
You know.
So I was there. So I was making fun, years and years ago when I've just started traveling, and I was in Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky, and Jeff Gilstrap, the owner, then he passed away. But I'm looking at his calendar and I'm kind of taking some. I'm like, this dude's a mime, Jeff. Come on. His wife plays the clarinet and he dresses as a. He's like, look, Vic, if I book just what I wanted all the time, I've been open for 7 years. If I book what I wanted, no one would be here.
Right.
He goes, it'd be Tim Wilson every week,
Right.
practically.
I know.
He named like 3 or 4. Ron Schock, he immediately named
Yes.
3 or 4 of his favorites, and he
Right.
goes, I'd have them on a 3-month rotation, and he goes, that can't work. I have to show up here a little bit of everything, and he goes, and what he learned is they liked almost everything. Hardly anything was rejected. As broad as he went with it,
Right.
Yeah.
those different types of things would always
Yeah.
prove that the crowd liked it, and he would invite them back. It was
When
one of
you
the most
got-
diverse schedules I'd ever seen.
Well, when you gotta, and that I like this city, and it's that way because people from all over.
Absolutely, yeah.
And if you got a fairly sophisticated town, you can do, and it's fun
Yeah.
as a booker to be able to go.
Absolutely.
"Shit, I can bring you. I can bring
Yeah.
D.L. Hughley.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then
yeah.
I can bring a Canadian guy, and then I can bring
Right.
a puppet master.
Right.
And that's fun because there are some markets I've seen to where it's hard to do.
Certainly.
Because most of the crowd grew up in that town.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so they have a really kind of a singular taste in what and they
No
do
diversity. Yeah.
They do kind of book a same kind of act a lot.
Gilstrap was the first guy I ever saw on his schedule. He would kind of rate them. He had his own little rating system.
Yeah, we do that.
And so I didn't look. So he if this is very esoteric and dry and smart, he had I forgot what he called that one, but the one, yeah. If he thought that it was that was going to be too sharp, too dry, too current events, too this, too that, and the other, it had a stamp on it that had like a redneck guy burping, like Barney on The Simpsons. It was that face with the big burp, and it had the stamp on it, and it said, "Bubba, be gone. This is not the show for you." And then try next week, and then whoever was the next week would be somebody that would be like Killer Bees or somebody that totally fits sort of the southern angle a little more than
Right.
Brett Leak, who's going to sit
Yes.
there and be esoterically
Yes,
brilliant,
and brilliant, yeah.
So,
Tom
but I thought, I didn't know you did that. That's again very rare. You never see
No.
like rating in the calendar when they send out your
yeah.
schedule. You never, which helps everybody.
I think
wouldn't
it's
wanna come
so
see something.
important that the audience. I've seen it over the years. Not only rating and let them know. So when they're calling in, all my box office staff, everybody, like we put out a little rip on all the comics, and it's behind the bar, it's at the wait stand,
Right.
it's in, so that everybody's saying the same
Of course,
thing when
sure.
they ask about
Right.
stuff. But the other thing that I found is how I introduce you. If I know now, like for a comic like you, I don't have to get into a lot of because
Sure.
you walk up, you know how to win over the audience, and your material is not extreme one
No,
way
I
or
don't think so.
another.
I cuss some, but it's
Yeah,
not
but
extreme.
not extreme.
No.
Now, but if there's somebody that's extremely clean or extremely dirty or extremely smart, comedy, I need to let that audience know this is what you're getting. In just a couple of
Oh, yeah.
sentences, I've seen so much the difference in
Oh, yeah,
in
absolutely.
them being
Hands
prepared
down.
for
You're
it.
priming the audience for.
Well, they're prepared for it.
I'm trying
They
the
don't have to
clean
figure it
one.
out.
I'm trying to remember some of his now after Bubba. The other one than Bubba Be Gone. If you were really, really clean, it was called Aunt Tilly's Drawers. Because this act is so clean, it's as clean as your Aunt Tilly's underwear. You could bring your old great aunt to this show. That's how clean this show is.
Nice.
And it said Aunt Tilly's Drawers because people do a double take when they're reading. Like, what does that mean? And you had to read it again. And he was just trying to say you could bring your grandmother to this,
That's
Right.
brilliant.
and it'll be okay. Yeah, he was a good dude,
great.
man. He was
That's
a real
smart.
good guy.
It was. Well, that was, and when I hear that, and knowing how Tom Sobel is,
Oh God.
that Tom is so
80 miles away was the opposite.
particular, but he's a very particular.
Yeah, oh,
guy.
yeah, oh, God,
Very
yeah,
particular,
absolutely.
I mean, I like Tom.
Sure.
But yeah. Tom was the first guy who ever gave me a bonus for no reason.
Yeah, he was the only person I ever heard in comedy that gave bonuses.
Really?
Comedy was so banging in the 80s. Even back then, they still, every man for himself, a lot of the agents.
Yeah.
But he was the first guy I'd ever heard of nationally that if you had a good week, he tallied up the money. And he paid you what you're supposed to pay, like $1,000 for the week or whatever.
Right.
But then maybe a week or so later, when he's gotten all the numbers in from the various clubs, because you did stops, you did 4 or 5 stops.
Right.
And you'd get a letter, and it would say, "Hey, Les, we had a great week, and I got the numbers, and here's another $300 or whatever." You go, "Oh, you've never heard of this ever."
No.
That's completely unheard of.
The first time I was a middle act. And
Some people say you still are, Les.
and I know.
I had to take one.
I am. You're right.
We're in the green room. We're in the green room. Have to take one in the green room. It's not fair.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's good.
Remind me of. I'll tell the Brian Bradley story, which trumps that one. But anyway, Tom Sobel, he goes, "He gonna pay," and Tom's a big guy. He's a big dude. So Tom, he pulls us in a storage closet and shuts the door. And this is the first time I'd ever worked for him, and I go, "This is where I get the fuck."
This is some right.
He's gonna
Something went wrong.
punch me 3 times and go, "Do you really want your money?"
Yeah.
You know. And the guy got paid, whatever it was, $500, and then gave me. I think he gave me $150 extra
Something
dollars.
right, yeah.
And just was like, and I was just like, "That's unbelievable." So your little thing. I used to do a thing where I interviewed the comic after the show for 20 minutes. I think we talked about it. I did a bunch of them. So there was a comic named Brian Bradley.
I've heard of him.
And Brian's a great comedian. And so anyway, we started talking, and I said, there's been a theme for several weeks that all comics are damaged goods. And that's the reason we become comics, is that we're damaged goods, is that it's a protective nature that is protecting the fact that we were abused, or we came from this horrible life, or we're ugly, or we're unpopular, and it's protect yourself and da-da-da. And Brian goes, "That's true." And then he starts telling his story, and it is that story.
Dark and
I
ugly.
mean, it's dark, and it's heavy, and it was not pretty, and he goes through and he finishes, and I go, "Okay, all right, I know that happens," but I go, "I had a wonderful life." And he goes, "And you're not funny."
No hesitation.
Boom, boom. All right. The crowd all agreed.
Oh, you set yourself up for that one.
I was getting paid. I was getting paid at the comic strip the other night. There's a book, and you sign the sheet, and they give you your cash. And this girl that just got off stage, Kendra Cunningham, who's very, very funny. She's from Boston, and she's playing. I hear her tell the host, she's like, "I wish that would have gone a little better, but I had some new jokes that I wanted to try, and I just didn't feel like pandering." And so she don't know I'm eavesdropping, but no hesitation, I turn around and go, "It's what you always do. Why start tonight? Tonight's the night you started to try a whole new thing. Get your ass back to what you do best, goddammit. Get in there and pander." And the other guy didn't know me, and he just thought I was being an asshole. And she starts dying laughing immediately. She has to actually look at him. It's a younger guy and go, "I know him. It's okay."
it's okay,
But
yeah.
she actually had to explain to him because the guy's looking at me like, "You fucking asshole."
Yeah, well,
Like,
can't take a joke.
we're friends. That's what we
sir.
do. That's what we do.
Bust each other's balls. That's how you gotta do it.
I said to the audience last night, I was telling the story, and I reminded them, and I don't always say that when I tell the story, but I reminded them, like, he'll tell you,
when you did the open mic?
we would rather see, no, at the end of the show, but we would rather see our friend go through some harrowing shit than to see him get a standing ovation. Anybody, I can watch Les Kill get a standing ovation. I know he can do that. Yeah. I want to see somebody throw a vibrator out of their purse at him or something. I just want to see something
Looking
weird.
for a story.
Because we're like that. That's who comedians are. We like the more,
You have to respond to
Yeah.
the unknown.
That's right. Walk through the minefield.
Yeah.
That's
Naked,
right.
blindfolded, on a pogo stick.
Absolutely. When you were up in New York, as long as you've been, did you ever play that one-nighter Betty's Fireside?
One time only, and it was supposed to
Me
be the
too.
worst one-nighter ever. And so
Really?
everybody wanted to do it, but even though it was a nightmare, now you're going to get heckled and screamed at, and it's going to be not one person. I had a story where they sort of defeated the room. It was a biker bar that was a big horseshoe-shaped bar. And you stood in the empty end of the horseshoe, I think.
The stage was above the bar.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it used to be a titty bar.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
And so you're kind of elevated in the open end, and they're all just sitting around that big horseshoe looking up. It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
But so it was funny to hear the comedians say, like he said, you'd hear them bitching and complaining, but the money was okay. But everybody was like, oh my God. And if there was 100 people you knew that did the gig, it was 100 horror stories. And yet anytime somebody brought it up, they come out and go, who books that? I want to get in there. What's it take to get in there? You wanted to do it one time just because maybe you thought you were going to be the person who's going to turn it around.
Yeah, conquer the room. Yeah.
No,
I had the weirdest experience in there was that I literally drove to Denver with my cousin, drove to go skiing, and Pam was with me. She was living up there in New York at the time. She flew back. I drove back to Chattanooga, crashed for the night, got in my car, drove to New York, and by the time I got to New York, I had about 3 hours to cool out and then go to whatever this one-nighter was. And I didn't know anything about it until we get there, and then they're telling me, and well, in New York, I used to sign this. They go, "How's this gig?" They go, "The food's good."
Yeah. Or they pay $50 on Monday when everybody else just pays $25.
Right. They pay what they always pay you, and the food's good. Yeah. So you see the setup where you're gonna have to sit up there. So I get on stage, and it just reminds me of those crazy one-nighters you do, where you just got to go nuts.
Who thought of this?
You get and you just go, well. You know, you just got to go up there and just go crazy and see what happens. Yeah. But I was up there doing a thing, and it was, you know, you're getting a few people here and there. And then I thought, you know what the fuck? I used to do this bit about cow tipping, right? And it was a whole thing. And I thought, this is the stupidest thing in the world for me to do in New Jersey outside of the city. But I go, who gives a fuck?
Right, sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And I went, anybody in here ever gone cow tipping? You would have thought that I was in South Carolina and said, who likes NASCAR? Right. They went crazy. And I went, really? They're like, yeah, cow tipping. And I had them in the palm of my hand the rest of the show. It was great. It was the stupidest thing. Pam was there, and she goes, "That's the craziest thing."
After 34 years, I finally heard the first person that liked Betty's Fireside.
Yeah.
Out of
like,
out of millions.
Out of doing a bit that shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But then you great, said, but not giving a fuck is what took you there, and see how that worked out for you.
And you thought when you leave, you go, well, this is, you get outside. People forget, you get outside of Newark. It's all farm country.
Yeah. It's called the Garden State for a reason.
Yeah. And so a bunch of these Jersey fucking they're farm fucking
rural.
Yeah. But no, that was crazy. You know,
Betty's Fire. God, I hadn't thought about that. It was because it was like a Sunday. Also, it was weird because it was either like a Sunday or a Monday. So there's hardly any one-nighters during that time.
Yeah.
So another reason you would take it, because you could actually work 7 days a week if you could string that along with something else. But yeah, it was great. Get out there. It was like, well, it's Sunday and the food's good and they always pay, just like he said.
Yeah. You do. Take the money and run gigs. You know.
I'm gonna open up another water.
Yeah.
I think it's almost time to.
Oh, breaking shit already. I think there's a water on stage. If I see for some reason Gid's opened it, I'll send another one up there.
Yeah, Gid's at like 24 minutes.
Yeah. Plus, we do have a water cooler. I keep forgetting because we just put it in. Yeah.
You're gonna have to open it for me.
Here you go. Let's see.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah. What the fuck?
He had to help me last time.
Oh, you got to get this little.
I did that. Okay, see.
Yeah.
Boom.
It's that golf grip lesson.
I know.
It's that golf grip.
I know.
We were watching that like a commercial about the golf clubs and everything. Just like, oh yeah, is the technology in here is gonna improve your whole golf game in one purchase.
The most ridiculous fucking shit that they advertise a golf club. Yeah, you'll hit it. You'll hit it right down the middle, 250 yards. Well, it's the same thing. Of you'll lose 50 pounds in a week. You'll I mean, it's just amazing how people will buy into the fact that something hard could possibly be easy.
Shortcuts. People are just looking for shortcuts.
Well, so my cousin's a doctor up in Chattanooga, and he owned walk-in clinics, and recently he just sold. But he told me,
all right. Les got to run back up on stage to get off the stage. And the great Vic Henley's going to take the stage next.
That was a fun time.
Seemed like
Yeah, I could hear them. I could hear the crowd.
They were ha-ha.
Yeah, there you go.
That's my best Dale Jones impression. Ha ha.
No more ha-ha for you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not that funny.
That's his check drop bit.
Yeah.
And there goes Mr. Vic Henley
There
on
goes
stage.
Vic. Yep. This always feels like a break room.
It really does. You
Yeah.
know, it's like we'll go back to the plant here in a second.
It's
We'll go back to the plant.
Oh, we're talking about the
all about your.
the golf club we're talking about, these damn commercials. Buy this golf club and you'll hit it 250 yards down the middle. And it's just like, yeah, take this pill and you'll lose 100 pounds.
Yeah.
And people want to believe that there's a way to do something hard easy. And there never is a way to do something hard
Otherwise,
easy.
everybody would do it.
But exactly.
Yeah.
But my cousin, who's a doctor, he said, when I see patients over all these years, and he goes, and they walk in and they're complaining about this, that, or the other. He said, I can give the same diagnosis to 90% of the people that walk in. I mean, he goes, and matter of fact, they don't even have to open their mouth. After a while, you can just look at how they're built and their skin color and things like that. And he goes, you need to lose some weight. You need a better diet. You need to start exercising. If you smoke, you need to quit smoking. If you drink, you need to manage, really, really moderate your alcohol intake and get your weight to this level and be able to do this physically. And whatever you're telling me is bothering you is probably going to quit bothering you. And he goes, every one of them look at you like, well, you're out of your mind. I want a pill.
Yeah.
I told you
Fix
my
it.
hip hurts.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Well, the reason your hip hurts is
Because you weigh 350 pounds.
Yeah.
Because you're out of shape and you're overweight and you don't exercise and
Yep.
But yeah,
They do the fix it for me. Like just
absolutely
do it for me. Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
And that's the mindset. Everything right now. People in traffic right now. I had a guy coming
It's
up
all
here-
snake oil.
Well, come up here the other night, and I drive a little bit above the speed limit, not a lot. Matter of fact, my wife says I drive too slow. But
So is
I'm
mine.
coming up the road,
Really?
and the guy zips around me, cuts me off to get to the turn that's right in front of us. Like, what'd you save a second?
Oh yeah.
And
I've always wondered how much heartache, how much pain is caused on this earth by impatience.
oh, massive.
Just impulsive behavior, and most of the time it's an impulsive act that if they just had waited, I would say in many cases 10 seconds, long enough to take a couple of deep breaths and really look at what the deal was and think clearly and then go, instead of just going. How much bullshit that causes.
There's a curve on River Road south of 41
Uh-huh.
in Sarasota County, and it is literally a blind curve because it turns so much. And they have had in the last 2 years probably 4 or 5 fatalities on that curve from people passing going around the curve.
Right.
Now, when you see that, you say to yourself, there is no way a sane human thinks you can do that.
Yeah.
It's not like it's it's a short
Oh, I
little,
know. I mean, growing up where I grew up in Chattanooga, we spent a lot of time in the mountains along the North Carolina, and the North Carolina Tennessee border. And so when you get up, you're up in the mountains and you're on those 2-lane roads, and it's just a ribbon, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, they go out of, there's signs everywhere. They go out of their way to go, whatever you do not pass on these roads.
Don't matter. Yeah.
And all the cops and the forest rangers will tell you, how he goes. We can tell you right now, this year, as in every year, just about every single fatality in this area is going to be due to that.
Wow.
And we tell them and tell them and tell them and tell them, and people just,
Well, when you cut across the
I gotta
state
get there
in the middle,
quicker.
there's I forget which road it is, but there are passing lanes, and they tell you passing lane in 2 miles, passing lane in a mile, and then it switches coming the other direction. So if you're behind somebody, not too long before you can get to a passing lane, but they still pass on the double yellow
Oh,
line.
absolutely. And the problem is with those kind of people, they have impulsivity, issues.
That's a good word.
Right. It's that impulsive behavior.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that to control that, they need to take something to slow them down, like a Xanax or something. But you can't. You should. It's like you shouldn't be driving with your impulsive behavior, but you shouldn't be driving on the drug that cures your impulsive behavior either.
Catch 22 if I've ever heard of one right there.
Maybe you shouldn't be driving. Maybe that just should be it.
Well, and that brings us back to tourist season down here. Yeah, it's a hassle, but it's a hassle because you can't get somewhere as fast as you want to get there.
That's right.
No.
But that doesn't mean you have a right to do something stupid.
Leave early.
That's it.
Shit. They're here.
Well, that's
it's going to take. It's going to take at least a third longer. At least.
And I think a lot of people want you to solve their problem. They left for work late, so it's your responsibility to get the hell out of the way so they can be on time.
That's right.
No.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of taking a big old breath and just accept where you are. But no, it is. It's amazing how much people still buy into here now that we've got 1,000 channels. And most of them are filled up with all these snake oil salesmen that are just, here are these two drop-dead gorgeous models that are just totally ripped and sitting there and telling you that if you buy this machine, that in a short time you're going to look just like them in 15 minutes a day.
Yeah, it's always something.
You just do this for 15 minutes a day, you'll look. And, that's that kind of stuff that you go, well, I know there's a part of, free enterprise, but you go, that's a bold-faced lie.
Wasn't it Wrigley that said there's a sucker born every minute?
Of course.
And you'll always get rich. You'll never get rich underestimating the stupidity.
Overestimating. You never get rich overestimating the American public.
The golf world, and we it comes on the TV channel and the golf something, and we go, oh, maybe this one might work this time. I did an article for a newspaper years ago.
You want it to?
Yeah, for years and years ago, and I took a list of all of those things that will shave 2 strokes off your game, 3 strokes off your game, 4 strokes off your game. I don't know how you would do it, but you could play a round of golf in 8 strokes. I don't know how you could do it, but if you put all those together.
Put them all together, right.
Well, I started. I think I told you this with my lessons. After about 2 or 3 lessons, I asked her about my wedges. And that I need new ones, and she goes, we can get you fitted, and that's what she does, and blah, blah, blah. And we started, I got them, and then I started to really think about that, the wedge game. And I told her, I said, you will not see me come to a lesson, and I usually do 2 a month. Yeah. You will not see me come to a lesson with anything but 4 wedges and a putter.
Yeah.
From now on. Until I would say 80 to 90% of the time when I swing a wedge, somebody's going, damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well,
holy crap. That was awesome. Can you do that again?
Yeah.
Yes. Be magical with them. And I go, I know that. Everybody knows the short game's the deal. And I know logically that on most par 4s, I can take a 5-iron out and slap it down there close to the green.
Yeah.
Right.
And as far as getting something down there. But so I'm like, what? Why have I not done this? Why is it someone who loves golf not focused on those? And I know why. It's tedious as shit. It's tedious and it takes a ton of work.
It's not nearly as glamorous as watching that driver go out about 260 and take a little left-hand turn.
It's not as glamorous, but by God, it's more impressive.
Right.
It's more impressive.
Yeah.
When you stick a wedge in your hand and you stick that son of a bitch up on the green inside 5 feet every fucking time, just about, and that ball hits the green, and you can say, this one's gonna check, this one's gonna do this and release, and you can call those. I mean, watching what those guys do out of bunkers.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Bunkers don't even penalize them hardly.
No.
They're so amazing out of those bunkers.
I told a friend of mine one day, I said, okay, if you want to find out how much you need to work on your wedge game and stuff like that, go out and late in the afternoon, nobody's out there. Don't hit your driver. Drop your ball at about 95 to 110 yards from the green.
Right.
So you should count that as your drive. That's one shot.
Right.
And so see what you can do.
Right.
And if you can't shoot 77 or 78, then you need to work on your wedge game.
That's it.
You know?
You shouldn't be missing. As a buddy of mine whose dad was a good player, really good player. I mean, he was single digit handicap forever, and he was like, well, hell, he goes, any idiot can hit a green from inside 150 yards.
Well, no.
Because he could.
Yeah.
He could. He didn't miss greens too much, and that's the reason he was a good player.
Right.
He got, what it was, he got that place as he got older. You know, he couldn't hit it as far as the young guys. The young guys are up there busting his chops about being so far behind, and he's like, I'll be there when the putting starts.
Yeah.
And that's some of a bitch.
And, you know, I mean, I'm 73, and I've lost a lot of distance with my driver. But I'm also working with my guy to pick up the distance with going to the gym 3 times a week.
Yes.
Golf-specific exercises.
Yes.
Okay. And a little change in attitude.
Yeah.
And that being, you're not 25.
Right.
Just put the curtain down on that
That's right.
birthday party.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Play from the proper tee box.
But what he's got me, we'll take a lesson and we'll hit nothing but 6 irons to a pin that's about 155 yards out.
Yeah.
And he said, I want you in about a 10-foot circle, which gives you 20 feet. Okay? On either side of the pin. 10, you know, he said, if you can hit there, all right, and you can putt, you should never have a double bogey or worse.
But hitting inside a 20-foot circle from 155 yards on a regular basis, you are awesome with an iron. I mean, I have new
TaylorMade M6s.
Oh, do you?
Oh, and they're friggin' awesome.
Well, you know, now that's they have the slotted.
They have the little bridge in the back.
Yes.
They got the.
Now is that the newest one?
That's the newest one.
Okay, because I'm going to that style of iron. I'm going to move to it because my girl who's working with me, I had some old burners, but they're graphite shafts, and I went to that because I was battling some tendonitis in my elbows, and I thought, well, maybe the graphites will be more forgiving.
Yeah.
She goes, maybe, but she goes, now I've been working with you. She goes, I just get the opinion those things are too light for you, and so she brought some pings over that were just regular steel shaft. And we started swinging those, and God, they felt so much better.
What happened to me was I went to a TaylorMade demo thing at the club.
Uh-huh.
All right, and I'm hitting my iron, my 6 iron, and the guy's looking at me, and he goes, "Wrong clubs." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You need to be 2 degrees flatter on your club," and I never had that done before.
Yep.
So when I got these, okay, I got 2 degrees flatter.
And she told me, she goes, and I'd never heard of that either.
Yeah.
And she was like, when you get your clubs, she was like, steel shaft. She said she gave me gram weights that it's going to 80 to 85 or something. She goes, you're going to have this gram, and she goes, you need to be 1 degree flat.
Yeah.
And when you get them set up, so what did those? What did you pay for the brand new ones?
6 through gap wedge.
Oh, that's not bad.
Well, there's a golf store in Port Charlotte called Your Golf Shop. That he's automatically $100 less than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But what I did for them is they ordered them like that.
Right.
All right. He was going to bend. I had the old M4s, and he was going to bend those, but TaylorMade tells them don't do it because they have trouble with the head snapping.
Oh.
There's a defect there.
Gotcha.
You know.
Gotcha.
But now, because he said apparently if your toe is up in the air, it tends to pull the ball.
Yeah.
So now you're trying to hold on, not to, so you can't really finish through it.
Right.
And you take that out of the equation. Now you can really hit the ball.
Right.
You know.
Learning, getting those clubs. You have your swings pretty, because you haven't played a long time. Both of our swings are pretty solid. We still do goofy shit, but it's enough to where we can get those kind of adjustments. Well, I'm looking forward to getting mine. I'll have to get mine. I'll need 5 iron to approach wedge because I've already got the 58 and the 54.
I have the 3, 4, and 5 hybrids.
Yeah, and I'm not carrying any hybrids anymore.
Well, it's because you're good.
And
I'm Les McCurdy. I'm so
well,
good.
You know what?
I don't need a hybrid.
When I got fitted for fairway woods, I ended up with a 3, 5, and a 7.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, you know what? And I had a 3 and a 4 hybrid in there. He goes, really?
you're doubling over.
Yeah, he goes, your 5 and your between your 5.7 and your 5 iron. That's really taking you where you want to go.
Well, see, and the other thing I did, and I was talking to the guy I take lessons from, I took my 3 iron out of the bag, my 3 wood out of the bag.
Did you
totally
really?
took it out?
Yep.
He said, "Why you got your 3 wood?" I said, "Well, because if I'm like 210 away from the green," he said, and he know. See, these guys know because they're good. He says, "How many times in the last 3 months have you gone for a green from 210 out with your 3 wood and got on the green?" And I said, "I don't know, a couple." He said, "How many times you screw up the shot?" I said, "A lot." He said, "Now, let me ask you this. Wouldn't it be better to hit it up close with a 3 hybrid and then use your sand wedge or your 60 degree to hit it see?" And that's what you were talking about, the wedge thing.
Absolutely.
Because we tend to fall into the trap of trying to do something we really can't do.
Well, you know, it was interesting watching the PGA tournament recently that was in Austin.
Yeah.
And Harvey Pinnock was the guy who wrote the Little Red
Red
Book.
Book, yeah.
And Harvey was the golf pro there for forever. And he was Ben Crenshaw and Tom Kite's guy.
Yeah.
And they were both there. And they were talking about Harvey. And Azinger, I think, asked him, was he a stickler on technique? He goes, "Not at all." He goes, he wanted you to score well. So he looked at what you could do, what you could do best, and you figured out, how can I take that game and get you scoring the way you need to score, so that's somebody who coaches, more with feel and that sort of thing.
Well, because I was told a long time ago, I took lessons from a lady who played on the Ladies Tour, and she said, "Here's your goal when you go out to play. You want to turn every hole into a par 3. Okay, so on a par 5, don't worry about hitting your 3 wood up next to the green. Hit it inside of 140, 130 yards. Now you've got a 130-yard par 3 that you're dealing with.
Yes.
And if you were playing 130-yard par 3s all day long, you should score great.
You know something I read now. Once again, I had a golf teacher a while ago that said, "Do you read golf books? Magazines?" I go, "Yeah." He goes,
"Stop.
You don't." Yeah. He goes, "You don't like follow the lessons or anything." And I go, "No." He goes, "Good." Because that's where you're trying to teach yourself, and you don't know. But I did read something on statistically that, pros will go, "Okay, I know that this wedge is 70 yards. Like, this wedge is my 60-degree wedge full is 70 yards, and I stick it, right, or whatever." So on a par 5, I don't want to try to get it unless I can get it on the green.
Yeah, you don't want.
Otherwise, you hit to the 70 yards.
Yep.
Right.
You don't want to hit to the 50 yards because now you're manipulating something. But they said most amateurs don't understand. They don't have that kind of accuracy because they don't work hard enough at it. So they did say that they found that you were more likely to score better on any hole the closer you could get to the hole.
Yeah.
In that case. But, it was a challenge for me. I have to use a 3 wood lots of times because I used to play, and I still will. I'll play with, if somebody wants to play I'll go back as far as 6,600. That's max.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be hitting a lot of long irons doing that. But I should, now mostly it's 6,000 to 63 right in there. Most people, and that's fine. That's plenty. And so with that kind of a course, I do hit my driver far enough that there are a lot of 4s. I won't say a lot, but there's usually 2 or 3 on every course that I can't hit. I'm foolish to hit my driver on it because I'm going to hit into trouble. And then I got to where I got bugged. I go, my 7 wood and my 5 wood. I hit those pretty consistently off the deck. My 3 was a mess. And most people is. And the girl that was teaching me, I was like, "Now tell me if I'm wrong, Susan. There's not that much difference between that 3 and that 5." She goes, "Nah, all in your noggin, buddy. It's all in your noggin.
So wild.
You just gotta. And I just have to tell myself to. It's the oldest thing in golf, but especially that 3-wood off the deck. Swing smooth.
Yeah.
Just swing smooth.
Well, you know, I think that's another thing that hurts most amateur golfers is we don't think our way around a course. We react. We get up there, put the tee in the ground, put the ball on the tee, stand back, look at it, hit it, and go. Sure. Instead of going, okay, what am I trying to do with this ball?
Yeah.
When I took those lessons from Nancy many, many years ago when I was in D.C., we'd go out for a round, 3 or 4 holes on the course. And she used to make me so aggravated. She'd go, okay, before you hit this shot, if you don't hit it great, where's it going to end up? Where's your miss area?
Right.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Right.
See,
Where's
in other
your
words,
miss?
where's your miss?
I never heard of that.
Because
before.
you have to you have to control your misses.
Right.
All right.
Because everything's imperfect.
Exactly.
Stand-up comedy, everything's imperfect.
Right.
So when it ain't going to hit, how do I not hit the?
Yeah,
How do I
don't-
miss the best?
Miss the best.
And
I like
she, and,
that.
yeah, and she was always tell me, if you're going to use, say, the 3-wood,
Right.
okay, and you don't hit it perfectly, there's odds are it's going to go 100 yards, or you're going to push it off to the right or push it off to the left. So of the 4 shots that you're going to possibly hit, one of them is good.
Right.
So why don't you back up, use a 7-wood,
Sure.
hit it closer to, because
And once again, play the distances. I mean, and I think this goes for higher handicappers, but my buddy Dave up in Chattanooga, who's always been a low handicapper, when I was playing 90 to 100 and happy to get anywhere near 90, and breaking 90 was like a woo, like, and he was like, Les, he goes, and I wasn't hitting my driver consistently. It's the hardest club to hit.
Yeah.
And even your 3-wood, I mean, the longer the club, generally the harder it is to hit.
Yeah.
So he goes, which club do you like best in that bag? I mean, like, you're just going to go pull, And that's what he goes, I ask anybody that. And he goes, most people are probably going to say their 5-iron or their 7-iron, that you can hit the furthest.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
5, 6, 7, one of those mid-irons, and 5's kind of a long iron. But anyway, he goes, say it's your 7-iron. Cool. How far you hit it? 150 yards, 160, 150, 160. He goes, all right, you're standing on a par 4 that's 350 yards.
why
Are you pulling that driver out? He goes, you pull out that 7-iron, you hit it twice. You're just bumping a little chip up there, and maybe you make your par bogey at worst. Do that all day long, and you're playing bogey golf easily.
Yeah.
Right.
And but of course, nobody wants.
Well-
And I told you this story before. My cousin, who's a doctor, and he plays like 5 times a year, but he says the same thing. I want to hit the driver. And so he went to this, and on that, I remember one of the first lessons I got, and we were talking about the driver, and I've told you this. The guy goes, here's your driver lessons. Take your driver home, take a beach towel, put it in the dryer, heat it up really warm, wrap your driver in it, duct tape it to hold it really tight together where the driver really stays in there. It's like almost airtight.
Yeah.
Stick it in the darkest part of the back of your closet. He goes, now when you start hitting that 3-wood pretty good, we'll get that fucking driver out of the closet. And so Chichi Rodriguez is at this tournament that my cousin's at. And so they auctioned off a 30-minute lesson with Chi-Chi before they go play. So Bill bought it. So they're standing on the driving range, and Chi-Chi's like, so what do you want to work on? He goes, I know we should be sitting here working on my wedge or 9-iron or something like that, or, putting. He goes, but I just want to hit a driver. I want to hit it 200 and something yards every time down the fairway. I want to feel like a fucking man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Chi-Chi goes, okay. He goes, get your driver out, and he goes, I want you to just set your tee down and take a few swings. Just clip the tee. I just want to take a look at your swing. He goes, oh. So he did that. He goes, okay. He goes, go ahead, put a ball down there. He goes, now set up. You ready? He goes, yeah, I'm ready. He goes, okay. He goes, as soon as you get into your backswing, before you move to the ball, close your eyes. He goes, is that so I can get the feel of it? And he goes, no, you don't need to see this shit either.
Oh my God. We saw.
But he said Chi-Chi got him hitting the ball pretty
Yeah.
solid in just a short lesson, but it all went out the window.
We saw Chi-Chi in Princeton, New Jersey at a seniors, but what they call the seniors tour at the time, and he's warming up at the end of the driving range because he's putting on a show.
Right,
Just hit the ball,
yeah.
tell a story. Hit the ball, tell a story.
Right.
And he used these extra long tees. And someone asked him why. He said, because when I was growing up as a kid, I couldn't afford tees, so I would use old scorer's pencils that I'd find around the golf course to tee my ball up on.
Okay.
He said I'd pull the eraser out, get it out, or cut it, and then set the ball on that. So I just got used to it. But what was really interesting to him is he would sit there and he'd go, okay. He'd say, sir, when I get to the top of my backswing, you yell hook or slice on the way down.
Yeah.
And he would hit that shot like, really?
He could make that
He could
adjustment.
make. And they asked him, how do you do that? He says, I just think it's going to go that way.
And your body naturally takes
And and his body
well,
does it.
but he's also hit
Yeah.
100,000
Thousand of them,
shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not.
saw him on a thing with Lee Trevino. It was one Skins game they did. Just fun thing,
Mm-hmm.
And this was a while back, but I think that Chi-Chi at that time was probably about your age.
Yeah.
Early to mid 70s. I said, but you was still hitting at 270.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was still.
What-
He was hitting it further than Trevino.
Yeah, I would love to be able to go back in time and take one of these new drivers and give it to some of those guys.
Oh.
Because you watch the old Shell Wide World of Golf,
Oh,
the old
God,
black
yeah.
and white one,
Oh,
and they're
sure.
using the little persimmon heads, and they're knocking it out to 250,
Yeah,
260.
Jack and
you know.
Watson and all them talk about that. I mean, I've got one sitting over here.
Yeah.
That persimmon head. It's
But they were-
amazing we could hit those. son of
And
a
those
bitches.
guys were hitting those things, I mean, it's like really. Of course, see, back then they had the balata ball, which you could move around.
Yes.
That's why those guys were all shot makers.
Yes.
They weren't. Now they sort of hit it in a direction and fade it or hook it a little.
Balata covers were so soft, they wouldn't last long.
No.
I mean, you could cut them so easy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but they had just tremendous feel to them.
Yeah,
I mean,
remember,
you could feel them on the
if you
on
could
the
put a
face of your
tracer,
club.
if you could put a tracer on the ball, they could tie like a bow tie in the air with those things. I mean, like really,
They were cool.
But if you ever bladed one, it was done. It was
Yeah,
done.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly.
But no, but those guys, they could. Well, matter of fact, the last year's drive, chip, and putt thing at Augusta for the kids,
Yeah.
there was I think a 14-year-old kid that was there. And I think he won his age group.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they did a piece on him, and he said what he loves to do is go to the range and work it by himself. He said he goes down to the edge of the driving range, and they were saying that, none of these kids know who the Chi-Chis and the Olafop, but they see them on YouTube. And this kid was interviewed, and he said he saw a Ballesteros video where he grew up with only 2 golf clubs because he was poor.
Right.
And he learned to hit, take a 7-iron and hit all these different shots. He said, so I go down there and I try to mimic what he was doing as a kid.
Wow.
And I thought, that is genius, because there's nobody his age group doing that stuff.
Right.
No.
Right.
I mean, he said, we saw a match. I think Trevino was with him at the British Open one year. They did a thing after that. It was a one-club match. I think they used a 5-iron, and they're hitting out of bunkers, and really?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you hit a 5-iron out of a bunker? I have no idea.
My buddy John, I play with. He keeps saying he wants us to do that every now and then. You get to pick 4 clubs, and and play.
Yeah.
You pick your 4.
I bet especially with you, if you went out with a 3-wood, a 7-iron, a pitching wedge, and a putter,
Yeah.
I bet your score wouldn't be that much higher, if any higher
Probably
than.
not. Probably not. Well, that my teacher said lots of times getting yourself to score lower is in your head. You don't believe it? So he said, my suggestion is, and she goes, pros will do this. They'll play from the front tees.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Just because that way they'll go out and they'll start shooting in the 60s all the time. Just to get it into their brain that's a score, I said, Susan, I can play from the front tees, and I still ain't shooting under par. I can't fucking tell you I'm not. I'll still be lucky to break 80. even from up there.
I keep a catalog of my
Squirrely ass shit.
when I play Bobcat or Heron Creek.
Yeah.
And in the last about a year or so, I've had a lot of 39s on the front nine.
Yeah.
I've never had one on the back nine,
Yeah.
regardless of the nine that I'm playing. There are 4 different nines involved in this, and I've never had anything because once I get to 39, I go, a 41 makes an 80.
It's a tale of two cities.
See, instead of
tell it. And the thing is, this was a big breakthrough for me. Used to, if I was playing good on the front nine, and I knew I was. I mean, you haven't had a double bogey. You know, you've had several pars, and maybe a birdie stone in there. You know, I would say to the person I'm playing with, I go, I don't want to know my score. I don't want to talk about it. I just want to play, because you feel like you need to stay in that thing. It was a big breakthrough for me to shoot in the 70s enough to where I can finish 9, go, shoot, I shot a 38 or a 37. You go and go, great, now you big dumb ass. Now go out there and, break 80. Shit.
Well, you know what's really funny, and this is how you bring it back to comedy. When you were in the old club on 41, and I was still coming up and doing open mic stuff and getting 4 or 5 minutes, I did about 5 minutes one night that literally rocked the room. But the best I'd ever, and I was talking to Dale Jones, who we both know, and he said, let me tell you something. That eventually will go away as just another show, because you will get better and better and better. But he said you have to get used to that. Yes. You have to get used. Don't stand there like a deer.
You don't not expecting you go, I know I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And it sounds egotistical to talk about how good you think you are about anything.
Yeah.
But if you don't acknowledge that, then you're going to prove yourself right. In other words, I wouldn't go up on stage with 30 minutes of brand new material.
No.
I might slide something in there, but I'm to the point now where I don't worry about it. Like I do the cruise ships, and I do a show on the cruise ships, and I never think, I hope they like it, because I know they're going to like it.
Right.
They might not like it as much as I like them to like it, but
it's confidence, yeah.
But anyway, so here we are in the green room.
In the green room.
Yes. No, it's interesting because I think as people get older, we need to raise our expectations, not lower our expectations.
Right.
I started working very seriously on my golf game 2 years ago. I got a range membership at the country club, a local country club, so I can go out there anytime I want to. And they've got a great practice facility and all that. And you start saying, okay, what is your goal? My goal is to shoot my age, which would be right now 2 over par. So I need to hang around and get older to make it easier. But honestly, I'm hitting the ball better now than I ever have, because I've been taking lessons.
Taking seriously.
And going to the gym.
Right.
Very golf-specific exercises.
Yeah.
And like Les says, don't read the golf magazines. There's, I remember this was eons ago. I used to get Golf Digest and Golf Magazine, and they tend to come at about the same time of the month.
Yeah.
And I opened up one, and here's a lesson on, I don't know, how to hit a 5-iron or something like that, or how to whatever. And so they had the same problem in both lessons in each magazine. Yeah. And they told you just totally opposite things to do.
Of course.
One guy goes like, play the ball back in your stance. The other guy goes, play the ball forward in your like. Well, okay, that tells you right there.
Yeah.
And then you see people, the old books back in the day, when Arnold Palmer come out with a book on how to play golf, and it wasn't anywhere like his swing.
Right.
I mean, he had that chopping, rotating, screw yourself into the ground thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't do that and not hurt yourself.
Yeah.
It really is. But see, that's the thing about I used to have a T-shirt I call "Welcome to Florida, where old people come to die, then don't."
Yeah. Right.
And it's almost true, because they come down here and they suddenly get outside and they get healthy, and they get a 3-wheel bike, or they go to the beach, or they do something like that.
Find
and
community.
Suddenly they're healthy, and it's like, whoa, now what do I do?
Right.
And you pick out something to go do it.
Yeah.
A
lot of things to do down here.
Well, like we've got on 41, where 41 crosses River Road, where the Mccurdy River comes up. We've got a new facility that the county just built where you can launch kayaks. It's a very, very nice facility. And they have a thing there about once a month where they come down with their kayaks and they go out and pick up trash on the river.
Okay.
So it's like, you get your exercise, you do some good for the environment.
Yeah.
But you look at that whole area, those little bitty mangrove islands and all that. It's a gorgeous place to hang around.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it's not that physically exerting because you're just sort of bouncing along at your own speed.
Right.
You know, you need to try to do it so you go upstream first, and then the tide will bring you back to where you were. Like I you know.
Yeah.
But but there's all this kind of stuff. You know, the only things I don't understand are these usually ladies that lay on the beach and butter themselves up, and they look like they're a Gucci bag.
Yeah.
You know, they got more wrinkles than an alligator.
The sun's baking them. Yeah.
Anyway, so we're sitting here watching the golf tournament.
Yeah. Is it the ladies' tournament?
See, and there's one of the things that the lady pros do. They wear these little sleeves on their arms,
right,
to protect them from the sun. And I just ordered a pair of those.
Yeah.
Because I just had some melanoma cut off my arm, and I found out that they're actually cooler than your arm in the sun. The way they're made.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So we're gonna see how that works.
Oh, it's like an Under Armour sort of thing.
Yeah,
where
but it's not. It's just the sleeve. It doesn't. It's not the whole thing. It just comes up to about right there.
Yeah.
You know.
It keeps you cool almost.
Well, and I forget who the golfer was. There was a senior golfer years ago who walked around with his collar turned up and his hat turned down, and everybody thought he was trying to be cool. He was just trying to keep the sun off his skin.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's brutal.
You get down here long enough, and suddenly your dermatologist goes, "I am going to go buy a boat."
Yeah.
You know, but what's he? Oh, the cool wheel.
Oh wow, he's about 32 minutes.
Yeah, a big crowd tonight too.
Yeah, how were they?
Yeah, except the one lady up front. It's funny, you can have a good show and you see that one person with their arms crossed and you go, what the hell am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
You know,
I can't change your mind.
Then it becomes, I am going to make that person laugh before I leave.
Yeah, you challenge yourself.
Yeah, but
I don't even see the audience sometimes, but I'm so new at this. So
yeah, well, you know.
Just look right over them sometimes. But then, yeah, like if I do like a bar show or something, though, you can see everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a weird one.
I go with that southern accent he's got. Victor. From,
Yeah.
You know. Anyway. Oh, there's Annika. Annika's sister teaches out at Charlotte Harbor National at Bobcat Trail.
Yeah.
She has her Sorenstam Academy out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Is she like the #1 pro right now? Who's the best female golfer right now?
I don't. Lydia Ko was for a while. It just, just you know.
It's always changing.
You don't have the ones that you don't have the. You got about. See, this is the difference between the women's tour and the men's tour. The men's tour, there are probably 50 to 60 that could win any week, without it being a big upset.
Right. Okay.
In the women's, you've got maybe 10.
Right.
You know, and it shows in the money because you know you win the tournament, you get maybe $180,000 or $90,000, and 10th place gets $22,000. You know, so the money is all top heavy.
Yeah.
You know, there's a friend of mine who plays on the LPGA named Emma Talley. It's her second year. She was at the University of Alabama, and when she was there, she won the U.S. Women's Amateur, and then the next year she won the NCAA Women's title at Concessions here in Bradenton, and then she went on the Symetra Tour, finished in the top 10, got her card, played last year, made about $500,000 plus, and now she's on again this year.
Yeah.
And she's out there with her is another girl named Cheyenne Knight, who was our teammate in Alabama.
Right.
You know, but if it wasn't for the sponsors' involvements, like she's sponsored by Callaway.
Right.
And the first year out there, last year, Callaway paid all of her entry fees into all of the tournaments, so she could, so it's trying to keep the cost down.
Right.
You know, of course they get their clubs and all that stuff, and like they play in the first 4 tournaments were in Australia and Asia. Well, in order to get the field over there, the organizers provided all their travel, their hotels, their transportation, and paid for their caddies. So there was no expense to go over there other than little stuff.
Well, yeah.
Otherwise, they couldn't afford to go.
Yeah, well.
Well, it was like the British Open back when Arnold Palmer was coming up. Nobody went to play the British Open because even if you won, it cost you money to go over there.
Yeah, it wasn't worth it.
The purse wasn't very big.
Right.
But he felt like he should go to support golf. Well, once he went over there, then some of the other Americans started following, and then the Brits decided, we need to up the ante dollar-wise.
Yeah.
Then it got on television, and the money starts rolling in, and now it's...
Yeah. It's usually how that works, though, with anything.
But back then, nobody wanted to go because it was,
Yeah.
It's sort of like being in comedy. I can get a gig in Columbus, Georgia, but it's going to cost me more than gas to get there and get back.
Right.
You
Is
know.
it worth it?
Yeah. That's what when Jane Paul interviewed me, that's one of the things she asked me when I got my first check. I said it was for $35. And I said I paid more in gas to get there and get back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he has a beer.
He's got half a beer.
Part of it didn't make it. Somebody,
It had to be tested.
Yeah.
somebody stopped me, drank my beer.
That's what, you know.
I think the Lightning are on here.
Oh,
They are so good this year.
yeah. I was talking to my cousin who's in Nashville, and he works at the Bridgestone Arena, and he knows all the Predator guys and all that, and they're all doing the math now, because we've got this thing locked up on our side. Okay. He's telling me today. He said, now if St. Louis beats Anaheim, and then so and so beats so and so, and so does so, then we'll have home ice advantage through the playoffs. You know.
Doing the math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You know, we were talking. I was asking. My buddy John grew up in New York, and so he's been a hockey fan forever. So
Keep talking.
he knows. Even though I've been watching the game now for over a dozen years, he still knows shit I can't. I just don't see or pay attention to. But I was asking him. I said, are there any? And I really haven't gone to see this, but now that hockey has been in warm climates for a while, are there any professional hockey players that grew up in a warm climate like Southern California, which has great teams?
Right, yeah.
We have a great team. We have two hockey teams in Florida.
Yeah.
We've got Nashville, Texas.
Texas, all the southern
So
states,
I just wonder if there's any hockey players that have developed in
The southern
in
parts?
warm climates.
In warm climates?
No,
No?
I don't. Well, I haven't done the feedback I've gotten from most people I've asked is there must be.
Oh, yeah.
There must be, but
I'm
I don't
sure.
know that there is. I haven't checked on it yet.
Yeah.
It sure is, man. I tell anybody that hasn't seen it, you can't. It is truly a sport you can't get on television. It's better now with big. When you have a super big screen television, you can enjoy it more.
Yeah.
But man, it is got to be maybe the most exciting sport to watch live.
I think
it is so fast and so fun to watch.
So much energy. That's what.
The
packed
athleticism
in
on
there.
those skates is
Yeah,
just
it's-
incredible.
It's a masterful sport too.
It
It's
is.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. It's a very skilled and technical sport, but it's also very aggressive and physical.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's
It's
the
like
right combination.
soccer and football all put together.
Exactly.
Running at warp speed.
Exactly. Flying.
And,
30 miles an
flying.
hour, some of those guys are skating. You know what I mean?
And boy, when you sit down close to the ice and you really can feel the power
Yeah.
and size,
They're
and
checking people into the boards and
good
everything.
God,
Yeah.
how fast that puck's really moving.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is. There's something else. Yeah.
It took a while. Wasn't there like a strike not like 10,
Many
15 years
years
ago?
ago, yeah.
And it's because they weren't getting paid enough or something like
It
that.
was.
But it was probably because they wasn't
Was.
pulling enough money, right? The
I don't
sport
know.
itself, maybe?
I don't know. Usually, I would think where there would be a strike is because it's that place where the sport takes a real upsurge, and over just a short, maybe over a period of 5 years, all of a sudden it takes a real upsurge in popularity, and the owners, they've just been used to paying a certain amount of money.
That makes more sense.
And all of a sudden they realize, woo, we're making our profits have really jumped in the past 4 or 5 years.
We're not going to share that.
I don't think the players have figured it out yet.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Or maybe they did. And there's a point where, they do figure it out. The players do figure out what's being made on the other end. That's always the thing. People go, players make too much money, and I go, it's all relative. The players make.
It's proportional.
It's proportional.
Yeah.
And when it all, because I go, if you don't give it to the players, then the owners are getting it.
Yeah,
Well, then the
exactly.
owners are making too much money. Is that better?
Yeah, it doesn't make
I'd
any
rather
sense.
see the players. I mean, everybody, obviously,
Gets a piece of the
everybody's
pie.
making good fucking money.
Yeah.
It blew me away when I did not realize till this past year how much money you had to have to own a football team.
Oh,
Until the owner of was it Charlotte, got into the trouble and had to, bail out. And P. Diddy pops up.
Yeah.
Maybe it was basketball.
It was basketball.
It was basketball. And P. Diddy
guy
pops
who,
up
I
and
can't think of
goes,
his name.
he goes, I'm interested in being an owner, kind of pops.
Yeah.
And then I was watching Sports Talk, and they were going, let me tell you how ludicrous that is. He goes, P. Diddy, last time I looked, is worth like $150 million. He goes, they won't even look at you as an owner if you don't have $1 billion.
I mean,
billion.
Yeah,
for
sure.
football or basketball.
For sure. Well, the guy who got
Because you had to have something. I think it was something like you had to have. I think it was about $800 and something thousand before to invest, just to get in.
Yeah.
Then you had to have another several $100,000 in reserve.
Right.
On top, so it went over $1 billion. To own one of these.
the only
fucking
thing
teams.
150.
Well, I mean, a stadium costs like millions.
Well,
just
they
to
don't
build.
pay for the stadium.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, just look at the numbers on that. Like, it's
$1
like
billion.
it's
It costs $1
a
billion.
It's a big
Yeah,
money
well,
industry.
see,
I mean, they're talking about the new Rays Stadium, and that's what's holding it back.
Yeah,
It's going
the-
to be
the
$1
only-
billion.
The only thing
the
150
city to pay
million-
for it.
The only thing
want us to
150
pay.
million.
Yeah.
The only thing 150 million gets is a comedy club.
Yeah.
Give or take a few million.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
us multi-million-dollar comedy club owners. Hey, it's a good life.
Yeah.
Done well.
You can't complain. Right?
I probably did. I'm pretty sure I did way better making this choice than trying to be a famous comedian.
Right.
I would say Vic was probably right. A lot of people still. You weren't in here. I said, so I was this is back when I was a middle act, and Vic goes, a lot of people think you still are. Okay, touche.
Bingo, yeah. Well, and that's one of the things about. There's two things about comedy. We talked about one earlier, but that relate to sports. Okay, part of it is that how hard you work at it.
Oh yeah.
Work on your wedges.
Sure.
Okay. And once I got out of your class, I got that computer program.
Yep.
That I used and it tells me how many laughs per minute and all that kind of stuff. And if they're not getting something, I look at it and I go, oh, that's because I'm talking too much and not doing a punchline or something.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I mean, literally, Ken and I put a number to it. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of 4,000 people have been through our classes.
Really?
I mean, it's right in that number.
Yeah.
And because we've been doing it for 30-something years. And you go, out of that whole group, how many have made it to pro level? I mean, maybe 15.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's the number. There's a few out of Chattanooga that did. 5 or 6 that I can think of that made it to pro level, and all of them not the headliner.
Yeah.
But, and then, like I say, I want to say maybe 5 or 6 out of down here.
Yeah.
But that's what I tell me. That's kudos to you. That's pro level of anything is dedication and perseverance, and I'm not going to give. And like I think I try to tell if you're in it for the money, you'll quit.
Yeah.
You got to be in it because you love it so much you would do it no matter what, because you just enjoy it so much, like we play golf.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then maybe you got a shot at sticking with it long enough to get good enough.
Well, and see, in my case, I sort of went the opposite direction because I was older and semi-retired. I was never going to be a road comic. I'm not going to drive to Columbus, Georgia on a Thursday night and back for $150.
Smart.
Ain't happening. Okay. Well,
Yes.
but
yes,
but
right.
what I
Of course
did,
not.
what I was able to do is to turn that into being on the cruise ships.
Right.
And we've been doing it for almost 9 years with Celebrity, and I think we counted something like we've been to Russia 6 times.
Right.
St. Petersburg,
But
Russia.
through your life, you're kind of a hustler kind of mentality. Anyway, you're used to making changes,
Yeah.
and you don't.
Well,
that
that's
doesn't
what
bother
when
you.
Jane Pauley was interviewing me and going down my list of all the things that I've done,
Mm-hmm.
from selling vacuum cleaners door to door to being chief command information for the Army. She goes, "How would you describe your career?" And I said, "Roadshow." Just roadshow. I mean, it's whatever put the tent up and put on the show and then move to the next town.
Yeah.
You know, but where I was going is I keep in contact with some of the people that were in class with me, and I've sort of watched over the years. A couple of them took off and started doing stuff, but it suddenly became hard. And they went, okay, I've had it.
Well, you know what I see as you go. They get it. They get their first 5 minutes, and it's working. It's really working, and they're like, oh man, this is fun now.
Yeah.
And then the next 5 minutes kind of comes along. It doesn't take too long to get that next 5 or maybe 10. So they got 15 minutes. That's usually about a year into it. They've got 10, 15 minutes. Then they realize how hard it's going to be to get the rest of it.
I think Les has to go on stage.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a show right there.
There you go.
That's how it works.
Drinking a beer.
Get him.
I am. Because I got a Xanax and the Valium, and I want to see what happens.
I know what's going to happen.
What's the joke that he takes Valerie Storm talks about that.
Yeah.
He takes Viagra and she takes a Xanax, and he gets all hard and she doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh, how was your skit?
Oh man, my skits and sketches were on fire.
Don't you love that? I know that you've had that happen to you 1,000 times. You walking out of a good show and someone goes, "That was a very nice skit."
Yeah.
Caroline Ray, who is hilarious. Whenever I see her to this day after 30 years, she's still, because we were standing at the bar in one of the New York clubs, and this couple stopped and goes, "We just got to tell both of y'all, we really enjoyed all the skits and sketches."
All the skits and skits.
So whenever I see her, she's like, "How your skits and sketches going?" I'm like, "Pretty good. How your skits and sketches going?" Your little skits and sketches.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
That's funny.
No, we were just talking about, I started at age 61, and so I never was a road comic.
Sure.
Because I'm not going to do that. I don't have to sleep on top of the bed with Saran wrap around the
exactly.
bed.
Yes.
But I got into the cruise thing where I speak on celebrity, and then I do my comedy show at night. And we've been to Russia like 6 times. We've been through the Panama Canal 3 times.
Wow.
We've been to about 50 countries. There's not a port city in Europe where cruise ships go that we haven't been.
Man, that's great.
We
see the world on their dime, baby. That's a road comic. That's the ultimate road comic.
Well, yeah, and
You're a sea comic. Yeah.
well, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
it's just a wetter road.
Yeah.
But no, it's so funny because see now when we get off a ship like in Lisbon, Portugal, we know where we're going.
Isn't that fun?
We know the little restaurant.
Right.
We know the little bar, the little coffee shop.
Oh, that's cool.
Growing up in Western or Kentucky, did you think you'd ever be able to, like, if someone stopped and asked for directions, you could probably tell them where to go there and be right?
Yeah. Well, my joke has always been that if you get a good education in Kentucky, you know you need to leave.
That's true. That's always true.
Thank you for asking. No, it's been exciting, frustrating, as you well know, because this thing of trying to move up the ladder scenario.
Right. That's hard.
And then you get to the point where you say, I'm better than this. In other words, you take certain places, you go, I will not go back there anymore.
Sure.
Because I am better than this. I had a gentleman at a club outside of the area, knows me. I went up and did a guest set for him, and he's seen me before. He says after the show, you're hysterical, but I just don't know how to market you. Translation, you're old.
Right.
See,
you market because you say I'm funny, and your crowd likes funny, so
Yeah,
come see
exactly.
funny.
Well, that's what I told and I said, you're sitting in the middle of all these country clubs and retirement parks that I work at.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that I work at. And I said, I'm not coming up here because of what you pay. I'm coming up here because I like the club and I like the people up here.
Yeah, sure.
I said, I can make more in one night at one of these places than you can pay me for a week, but that's okay. That's not why I want to. Well, just come up with the marketing. No, that's not.
No,
my
that's
job.
your idea. That's your job.
That's your job.
Right.
You give the club promo material, and they promote you any way they want.
Yeah,
you don't have to
exactly.
do the whole
Well,
job for them. Then what are they there for?
They're not paying you for
Because
that.
in most cases, people go to a comedy club to see comedy. They don't know the comedian.
True,
Now, there are people
absolutely.
that come through here like Julie and Dale and people like that.
Yeah.
She's going to put people in the seats, but 90% of them go, oh, let's go to the comedy club.
True, absolutely.
Because they got the phone call. Hey, we have free
Oh,
tickets.
yeah.
We got free tickets because you didn't get a speeding ticket this week.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think it's cocktail time.
I think it is, and we'll probably wrap it up here then. Huh?
Okay.
You think
Well,
you
thank
have
you
enough?
guys. I think we got like 5 hours, so we're all.
Oh, Jesus.
Just kidding.
It's going to be a 20-minute podcast.
Yeah, so we're gonna condense it down.
You
Don't
can
worry.
either listen to this or watch Roots.
Either watch. In all of the Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
Yeah, all three
Absolutely.
Lords of the Dances with the Wolves.
All right, man. Well, thank you, Vic. Thank you,
Oh,
thank
my
you, kid,
pleasure,
man.
buddy.
That was fun. Good night. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. Please go to our website at mccurdyscomedy.com. Also, check out Vic Henley at vichenley.com. That's VICHENLY. And also go to gidpool.com to check out his amazing story. That's GIDPOOL. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.